Oh, very nice. Very nice. That should be me, actually, after just eating. Anyways, what is going on, everyone? Welcome into the Back to Normal schedule on a Sunday here on the Voice of College Football, the College Football After Dark show. We have a lot to get into and cover, but please also always remind everyone, please check out the team channels. You'll find your team. Check out the Big 12 channel. We've got a special guest here, Shane, who's going to be talking here later on. Big 12 channel, though, the SEC, Big 10 channel, all that good stuff. You're going to find team content here all year round from Mark, and likewise from some of us periodically, such as tonight. But please, gentlemen, one by one, please start off. John, Tim, etc. Please introduce yourself to the people and let them know where they can stalk you at online.
Yeah, thanks, Ben, for that intro. Hey, I'm John Diadamo. If you know me, I don't know where you've been. I've been doing some stuff. So Michigan Wolverines live Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Ocho Mondays at 8 p.m. Eastern with the Voice of College Football community post-game live. And you can find me on Twitter at John Diadamo. It's great to be here to celebrate Michigan's national championship run. Go Blue.
Hold on, I have to stop you and say appearance. Not run. Relax. It's an appearance in the national title game. Relax.
We're making a run to the national championship.
I know when people say that because it sounds like you won it already. I'm like, I have to just stop people right then and there. But Tim, please. Carry on.
Tim's going.
Tim might not be there right now.
It's the nicest.
All right, Sean, you know what to do.
Hey guys, Sean, a resident Buckeye fan here. Living through hell, watching that team up north do what we've been doing for the last couple decades here. So it's painful to see. And Pickles, can we be best? We're best friends for the next 24 hours, right? Sergeant. No, you got you. And you can find me on many of the shows. On the Voice of College Football, I'm always around. I, try to interact as much as I can. There we go.
And as far as me, I'm Mike Fort. In case you went to Ohio State, you can read this and tell where I went to school. Looking forward to the game.
University of Michigan Flint. They give those at the Flint branch too. I saw that.
Yeah, actually, I did. I took more classes at Flint than Ann Arbor, to be honest.
Oh, okay. Yeah, really?
I'm from the Flint area.
Ah,
yeah. I mean, you could take classes in Flint, Dearborn, and Ann Arbor, and they all go towards the same degree. But
one has dirty water.
Hey,
we don't need to.
You'll get a degree, but you won't remember anything about it from the last.
Ann Arbor. Ann Arbor, right?
That's a conversation for a different night.
All right.
Yeah, they serve some dirty waters at Ashley's on State Street there.
So overstated. Plus, I had well water. I actually grew up in Burton, not Flint. But if you want to know where my Twitter, it's I have none. If you want to know what my Snapchat is I have none. If you want to know what my Twitter or X is, it's I have none. If you want to know what my TikTok is, I have none. And if I'm missing any social media out there, I don't have that either.
OnlyFans.
Now I am thinking about making an OnlyFans, and if I do make
I'm curious. I am curious.
Mike's social media is in the dark web. We'll just leave it at that.
Mike, that I have none. Is there an underscore in there somewhere?
Oh, he's been nice today.
The O and none is a 0.
Yeah, that's my way around it. I actually have it, but I'm kind of covering it with clever word games. Don't worry, I might have a Facebook page one of these days. Kind of like Grandma does. And then if I do get a Facebook page, you'll all know it.
Well, I guess it's my turn. I'm Jackson Johnson. You can find me on YouTube at Jackson Johnson 979 and on Jackson09960335, and on Instagram threads at Jackson Johnson 543908. And of course, you can find me on the latest episode of the Jacksonian with Derek Johnson, the host of Locked On Jayhawks from Thursday morning, where we went over the latest on Kansas basketball and our take on the 2023 Kansas football season. And we also wondered if Hunter Dickinson can be an NBA draft steal, which I guess Saturday, in a way, kind of made that case after that game-winning shot against TCU. I mean,
Refs were fishy in that game. Refs
Yeah,
were
they were.
fishy.
yeah, I was like talking to some of TCU Nation. They were not too happy about it. They're like, we got
This
Yeah.
has been the year for that. Like refs, like NFL, college basketball. I have not seen anything like this in my lifetime. You want me to go next?
And I
Will.
also did the basketball show with Will on Friday nights. And I also do a recap college football show with Austin Williams from Sports Talk with Austin.
What's up, guys? It's Will. I'm here. You can find me.
That is so rude. Oh my God, you're freaking bombing Will's intro now.
You can find me over at Will ND on YouTube. I have a college football show. Well, it's going to turn into an NFL show on Monday with Jeffrey from Only Talk Sports. And I do a basketball show, as Jackson said. We do ours on Fridays. And you can find me over at Marcus_era on X. And if you want to see my personal life, Klowski414 on Instagram.
Will knows his shit. You guys should check him out.
Thank you.
Boy, Will, you'll have to hit me up offline. I got to get you, Jax. I got to get everybody's contact information. Yeah, I'm Shane Statmiller. I started my podcasting with the Triple B Experience. They do on 9 p.m. At 9 p.m. on Fridays, they do a pop culture show, wrestling, etc. Wednesday night, Bubba Brewer and the gang have a show called the Black and Gold Dynasty, and he'll be live all this week at 9 p.m. Before the Steelers playoff game. And for Mark, I am on the Mountaineer Fan Zone with Joey, and we talk about Mountaineer sports. And you can see me floating around all over YouTube. I'm like a social butterfly. I just like to sneak into programs here and there and say hi. So
There you go. I know Tim wants to go last. I never.
Well,
do.
I'm still trying to figure out everything. I'm painting.
That's why I said
so
I almost never say anything. So I'm just Ben of Exploring with Ben and Sam. You can find us here mainly on YouTube, Exploring with Ben and Sam. Not sports related at all, but you can also find me on the weekly Oregon Tuesday night live show for the Oregon Ducks. As we also are here on one of the final Sundays for the After Dark show, as always. So appreciate everyone in the chat. Tim, please, I'm going to do this for you. Go ahead, Tim. Go ahead. Promote yourself.
well, I'm 20 subscribers away from my 1,000, so feel free to follow me on Twitter so I can get to that illustrious 1,000 if you'd like. And then you can catch me Mondays and Fridays on The Voice of College Football. Mondays at 8 Pacific and Fridays at 6 Pacific.
That was actually quicker than I thought it was going to be. That was why I full screened you. And as to your comment earlier, Tim, no, absolutely
Damn.
not. That is absolutely not happening ever again. That was ridiculous. And I see the banner file is still full of memes.
Oh, jeez.
It's still full of all the memes that Tim uploaded. They're all still there.
Man.
Oh
man, we got ourselves a great night tonight
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, last week was a meme bonanza.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank
2
Tim
a.m.
for that one.
Yes, he filled up Mark's whole portfolio just with memes. Very
But-
cringy, very cringeworthy memes too, by the way.
Oh, for sure. But I will say, if you love exclusive live streams, watch parties, predictions, betting advice, and insider looks, and all of college football, go to patreon.com/MarkRogersTV or become a YouTube member of the Voice of College Football. And let's give a big round of applause for the Voice of College Football finally getting to 44,000 subscribers. Now let's
nice.
get it to 50,000.
I didn't even
All
notice
right.
it went up to 44 finally. Damn, about time.
Yeah.
About damn time.
Let's get it to 50,000.
Luckily,
Patreon.com/MarkRogersTV.
luckily this week, I mean, I say luckily and unfortunately because we didn't have a ton of games this week. Obviously, mostly with the playoffs and then some of the the other New Year's Six and stuff. But what is your biggest takeaway? Because obviously Michigan also has some news, not just because of the playoffs and everything like that, but the Jim Harbaugh NFL rumors. But there's a little man down south that apparently is very open to the potential possibility of taking that job should it open up, and that would be the victorious Brian Kelly of the LSU Tigers
God.
defeating Wisconsin 35-31. Barely. I mean,
Boo.
barely.
I was pulling hard for you, Bucky.
Well,
Dude, I was scared. I was
luckily-
like, dude, I picked LSU, and then I heard Jaden Daniels one play, and I was like, uh-oh. And it was a heart attack.
I would have thought they would cruise anyways.
Yeah, they did win. They pulled it out. But
Yeah.
so we have
Let's
the
do it.
coaching news. Brian Kelly is open to taking the Michigan job. If it were to open, he was offered it, apparently. Apparently, he's open to it. He is open to it. That's the news report.
And he can
And
stay
what
open
about
to
that
it.
LSU shit?
What
He
about
can
that
stay open to it.
Yeah, what about that LSU Wisconsin game? First and foremost.
I was a little shocked. I mean, I really thought that
Me
even
too.
without Jaden Daniels, I didn't think that Wisconsin had a prayer in this game. I mean, you got to figure Wisconsin went 7-5 in the weakest division in college football. They did not look good all year, and Jaden Daniels, he had a great. But even without him, LSU's offense is still legit. I mean, did Neighbors? I can't remember. Neighbors played, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Both Neighbors and Thomas
Okay.
played in the game.
Yeah.
So they were mostly.
I remember
full back.
Thomas had a big game.
Yeah, he had a huge one. Huge game.
So I mean, I really thought this would be a 3-score game, to be honest. But I mean, Wisconsin did. They put up a hell of a fight. So kudos
They
to
made
them.
Tanner Mordecai look like CJ Stroud from last year.
Well, LSU's defense was still terrible.
Yeah, it was terrible.
Yeah, I thought LSU came on late. I mean, when I was flicking through, checking it out here and there, and my goodness, I thought Wisconsin was going to win. I turned it off. I turned it back on, and it's like, oh my gosh, LSU's starting to, make a run. And I couldn't believe that LSU won. That fourth quarter, I watched the entire thing, and they just kind of put their foot on the gas. But
I do think if you're a Wisconsin fan, you have to be pleased that with this time off and with this preparation, that Luke Fickell and staff were able to put together their best performance of the season.
yeah, they didn't lay an egg, that's for sure.
Yeah, it definitely
No,
wasn't. It wasn't the
it's-
season that people thought Wisconsin could have with Fickle coming in. But I think you saw that adjustment year of them like establishing what they're trying to build.
And honestly, even with the backup quarterback whose name escapes me, he's really talented, and they've got two future NFL star receivers and plenty of
Nussmeier.
them. Holding them.
Yeah, Yeah,
Holding that
Nussmeier.
group to 35 isn't that easy still. So I mean that's
True.
just I mean
Well,
I think in spite of the disappointing result, like you have to be happy with the performance.
Well, LSU, didn't they just sign got a real good
Bryce Underwood.
recruit?
Yeah.
Bryce
Yeah.
Underwood, 2025 top player.
Yeah, and he goes to high school about 25 minutes away from the University of Michigan.
Yeah, that was
Boy, that was. Yeah, I can't believe he went to LSU. I mean,
Well,
he's
he's been crystal balled to LSU for the longest time.
Yeah,
now,
it's been a while.
would you take Kelly if it meant Underwood comes with him?
No.
No, still no.
That's going to be Kelly's
We hate-
selling point
Kelly
for sure,
sucks.
though.
Well, that's
Sorry.
just flashbacks from Rich Rod coming, and you getting, his stuff when he left West Virginia.
Yeah, Sharon Moore is the coach in waiting. If the NCAA hands down more punishment than expected, then you might look at Kalen DeBoer or Jed Fish.
Yeah, Jed
most
Fish
likely
seems
it's
to
gonna
make a
be-
lot of sense, honestly. I like that hire.
Well,
But,
everybody knows I've been
DeBoer probably.
well, I've been stumping for Fish for quite a while.
Jed Fisher would be an amazing grab one. Arizona would be screwed if they lost Jed Fisher.
Yeah.
But LSU hiring Blake Baker. That's
Arizona's used to being screwed, though. I mean,
yeah, that's true.
Oh, yeah.
That's true. But the
Well, they realized they heard the calls that Matt House was basically pretty awful as DC. So this was their replacement, Blake Baker from Missouri.
Yeah.
You know, he had a part in Missouri having a pretty good season. What's everyone's take on this hire?
I mean,
don't ask Sean. Yeah, he doesn't want to see Missouri ever again.
Yeah. That defense is the best defense that ever existed. You know, they would hold the Chiefs to 7 points if they played them.
There you
No,
go.
that's. I don't know. I mean, they had a good. Missouri had a good defense this year.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say a little bit off of excellent, but you know, they had to make a change somehow.
Kind of hit and miss, but they had their very really good moments and then not so good moments.
And one thing that I think always gets underrated when you talk about great defenses is they had two really, really good cornerbacks on their team, and that just allows you to be so much more dynamic in how you call a game defensively. Rakestraw and Abrams Drain, those are two really, really good NFL corners.
Yeah, it allows you to call a defense that's totally different because you can leave those guys by themselves and not worry about it.
Well, it makes the offensive line have to play a little bit harder, protection-wise, also in the run game. And I think that's really where the Buckeyes struggle all year. Good thing the Chiefs don't have that offensive line the Buckeyes have. They might be in trouble. Wait, shit. It was Mark here? God damn it. I should check first.
Yeah, that was last week.
We've got help coming on the offensive line, Tim. Didn't you hear?
Oh yeah,
No.
the Alabama center.
Yep.
Well, Alabama's line wasn't exactly special this year either, so.
No, and the center probably cost them the game against Michigan.
Hintzman was third.
But he said that
Big
team up
Ten.
north, or he said that team up north, so he's in. He's officially, the Buckeye Nation has already embraced him as one of their own.
Hintzman was third team All Big Ten though, so I don't know how this is an upgrade.
That I don't know how he got any sort of postseason recognition. He was a rough spot all year. I mean, that just shows you like everything that is wrong with these postseason awards. A lot of them are metrics. I don't think a lot of these guys, people are watching film all year round on these guys. Michigan, literally, I think every single member of their offensive line made first or second team All Big Ten. And their offensive line was not that amazing this year. I mean, they were pretty good. They were above average. It's like really every single one of those guys.
Well, I mean, if your bar is the back-to-back Joe Moore award, then yeah, they weren't that amazing, but they were still better than anything else you're going
Took
to
a
get.
little step down.
Well, we'll talk about the Joe Moore award because I'm a little surprised who got that, to be honest. But Erica in the chat, our Hawkeye loyalist, please plug your ears because we valiantly stood up for you in the Hawkeyes last weekend on the show and said, you're going to win it. You're going to take this game away. And Tennessee, with their backup quarterback, absolutely thumped Iowa 35-0. Absolutely.
That was my worst pick of the bowl season. I've been doing pretty
terrible.
well, but that one was a miss.
Was that?
Oh, my bold picks.
Me too. I missed it.
The Nico Yama
Yeah,
Looks to be a
I am
gamer.
he's a bona fide 5-star.
That era has started.
I'm Maleva.
I'm Aleva. Yeah, he's a South Cal guy, right? Tim.
Yeah, Southern California guy. Yeah, where all good quarterbacks come from, man. The cradle of quarterback play.
Well, Tom Brady was Northern California, I think.
He was.
There's a couple. I bet she has roots in Southern California, though. He must have a cousin. He moved up north,
Yes.
not knowing any better.
Same with Aaron Rodgers.
Family got lost on the way.
Yeah, Deacon Hill. I didn't expect that kid to do what he did against Iowa, but you know, I didn't pick that one. I thought Iowa was going to win that. So
everyone. I think everyone's mentality here for the most part was Iowa's defense is what's going to be the difference, especially with the backup quarterback in. It's like
yeah.
Nope. Not even a defensive scorer or safety. Come on, Iowa. We deserve
look
more from
here.
you.
Yeah. What's funny is CBS ranked the bowl games based off of performance, and out of the 40 bowls, it was, which one was this? Oh, Citrus Bowl was 38. So,
what was worse? They were like
okay.
40.
What was worse? At 39, the 68 Ventures Bowl with South Alabama 59, Eastern Michigan 10.
Yeah.
The Boca Raton Bowl with South Florida 45, Syracuse 0. And then, of course, 41 was the Orange Bowl where Georgia just decimated Florida State.
Oh, that game was violent, man. I mean,
that needed a parental label down the bottom, where they say nudity, blood, violence.
Yeah.
It's just extreme depression and sadness might ensue.
That game wasn't surprising. I mean, the first 10 minutes of it went kind of as expected, a little slow start on both sides, feel each other out, and then it just went.
That game was like watching 4 people beating the hell out of Eeyore in a cornfield. That's what it felt like to me.
That was oddly specific.
Yeah, good analogy.
I mean, who would do that to Eeyore? I know I wouldn't. That's for sure. That's a no.
Missing a tail. Something terrible must have happened to him.
Donkey.
I'm not even going to talk. We're not even talking Florida.
I think historians will look back on this Iowa season in the future and think, how could a team finish averaging 20 yards per game lower than the next lowest team in college football?
And they made a bowl.
And have 10 wins. 10 wins.
Win 10 games,
right.
win their division.
The Big Ten.
Yeah.
Play for a conference championship game. How did that ever happen?
Big Ten West.
Well, Utah's another team that just laid an egg in the Las Vegas Bowl, guys. I mean, 7-14 against Northwestern. Northwestern's not exactly a defensive,
No, yeah, don't bring up. You're bringing up pain and misery. Everyone here, I think, picked Utah to at least.
I did. I'm bearing my ass here on your show because these are the picks that just I'm dumbfounded.
Yeah, no one thought Northwestern was going to win.
Tanked our bowl season pick. Most of us.
I bet I took Northwestern in that game.
I should have known better about
you,
Utah.
Sean. I do want to say for FSU, one, good job just showing up playing the game because most people said you should just show up and then sit out or get back on the bus and leave, which I would have found hysterical, to be honest. But
hey, I want to give
I'm calling out Danny Cannell. Stop whining and freaking complaining on social media about the game doesn't matter. Stop it, Danny. I respect you as a broadcaster with Cover 3, but other than that, stop it. Jesus. All right.
Dude, I like he's calling us out for disrespecting Northwestern. Look, I've watched Northwestern film. I love me some AJ Henning, okay? But I didn't think they were going to beat Utah. That's all I'm saying. I didn't think they had enough Utah defense. And
right.
Whatever offense they could cobble together, I guess.
I mean, who was going to be high on a team that lost their coach and is embroiled in a scandal after going 1-11?
That was 5 months ago. This is a team in a totally different spot now. They just
5 months, not 5 years. as far as like the Iowa Tennessee game, I mean, the only thing I think of is that one, even as a pure freshman that hasn't taken a meaningful snap, Nico is a better quarterback than Joe Milton, and two, Phil Parker. Iowa hadn't played a proper up-tempo spread offense because the only team in the Big Ten that really plays that offense is Maryland, and they didn't play Maryland this year, so they were basically kind of put on their heels the entire game, going against an offense that they had no practice preparing for this year. And
that's true. That's true, and I mean it's credit to Heupel and the staff there of preparing Nico for this moment because I mean. There's no way in hell I thought they would shut Iowa out with that defense. Tennessee defense has not been great. No. I know Iowa's offense is atrocious.
Yeah,
Erica will confirm. But still.
But if you look at the first 3 games that Tennessee had, I watched them and I was like, boy, they are very well balanced. I didn't see any just flaws that just stuck out. And then I had to blab my big mouth and say that, and they proved me wrong. But those first 3 games, they looked fantastic, and that's exactly how they looked in the bowl game.
Well, speaking of this,
Erica,
and, you guys can probably speak more to this than me, but Erica, of course, our most loyal Hawkeye fan, because Corey doesn't come on here. He doesn't waste his time with us. We're too low. We're too small for him. Erica, thank you very much for the super chat. But cool, why the F didn't Marco Lainez get more snaps given his mobility? Actually, we know why. So that was a dumb question.
Well, yeah, we all know why because Brian Ferentz, he has tunnel vision when it comes to quarterback. Same like last year when they beat Kentucky in their bowl 21-0. We finally got to see Labus. That was the first time we saw Labus all year.
Well, I do think there was some good reason for it. He was not going to elevate their offense this year, and they wanted to preserve that red shirt on him. So they definitely didn't. They definitely didn't want to throw him out for some meaningless snaps, especially when he wasn't going to substantively improve.
Well, the bowl doesn't count against the red shirt though.
But he played like the whole second half in this game.
Oh.
I mean, I thought.
Sorry, Erica. I didn't get to watch this game. I was trying to, but I was, focused on another game.
Yeah, so
what about? Has been abysmal.
I want to ask you guys, what about Herb Street just crapping all over the bowls and saying that they're all meaningless and, I don't mean to bring that up again, but I am because, I mean, the playoff system's going to change a little bit, but is that going to make the bowls even more watered down? What do you guys think?
It's not going to change anything.
Oh yeah. Oh, no one's going to want to play.
It just means that instead of 3 bowls that matter, there's going to be 11 bowls that matter.
Right. I think one of the things you're going to start seeing is, say, depending on your seeding, whether you have a home field advantage or a road, or you're on the road, and then who you're facing, you may start seeing players opt out to be like, why am I going to play against that guy and get blown out and waste, ruin my draft stock or something like that. You might start seeing that, like for the lesser seed teams, maybe. That's kind of the next level. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's possible, but we don't know yet. I mean,
that'd be inexcusable.
Yeah, I mean, but it's possible. Yeah. Say you had a receiver on the 10th ranked seed going to play the, like, say 5th ranked seed at their place, and they're like, dude, we're gonna get blown out. Why would I ruin my draft stock by having a crappy game? I'm gonna just sit out. It would be crappy and bad, but
I mean, if you're a scout, would you downgrade them more for going out and having a bad game, or for chickening out?
I agree.
I've asked that before too, and a lot of people say yes, but it doesn't really matter. And I'm kind of like, I'd prefer someone that would go play and just deal with a bad game and a loss. But
the reason I think most of them sit out is not to risk putting bad film on tape. It's basically to
injury.
Injury.
And most of the guys who are willing to sit out probably have an insurance plan already. they have
But
insurance policy.
it's probably nothing compared to like their signing bonus. Like they're probably still risking a ton.
Well, yeah, of
However,
course.
never sees-
If you're a guaranteed first rounder or something like that, I mean, of course, that insurance policy would have to be in the 10 to $20 million range at least.
Yeah, usually they're around like
Yeah.
15, 20 million, which is what a decent rookie contract would go for.
But are we going to see more like Pop-Tarts Bowl or Mayo Bowl nonsense or the Potato Bowl? They threw French fries, scalding hot French fries on the coach. Now who wants to win, huh? In Boise,
I mean, that makes the bowls more fun and the players less likely to opt out, at least.
Because they're going to see their coach get scalded by hot potatoes.
I'm sure.
I will say that I mean, something like the Pop-Tart Bowl this year. One, besides the fact that I expected it to be a good game, it really was. It was the whole Pop-Tart aspect of the mascot, and then as Tim just showed, I was like,
cool.
I didn't even see that during the game, and I was like, that's amazing. That's what makes college football so fucking
the only thing would have been better if you had a cherry and a strawberry Pop-Tart on a stripper pole. That's probably would have just
or maybe have like 5 or 6 flavors.
Shane, we
running
don't
around
need to exacerbate this. Ben has been fantasizing about this Pop-Tart Bowl since the bowl.
that is true. That
the Pop-Tart Bowl.
I mean, I gave him a couple hotline numbers to call.
Yeah. Oh yeah. See, that's what I'm talking about. It's. Oh, you guys made my night with that.
It's hot.
You could have like half a dozen of them run around racing like they do with the mascots at the baseball game.
Yeah, at Pittsburgh they do pierogies. They have a pierogi race.
Yeah. No, but they have in Milwaukee they have a sausage race.
Yeah, it's something different everywhere. So
Northwestern too.
I think Milwaukee and Pittsburgh are the places that do it.
Yeah.
The fat Polish people.
You ain't right, Tim. You ain't right.
Besides Iowa ruining most people's bowl picks, I think if anyone here didn't have their highest bet pick score-wise, like points, as Oregon just trashing Liberty, you're an idiot.
I had Georgia, Florida State, but I think Oregon.
Okay, Georgia, Florida State. I'll take that. That was I think that was like definitely had to be like one of your two top.
Yeah, I think those were my
two
highest.
I was surprised that Memphis hung 36 on Iowa State. Now Iowa State's very bipolar this year, but I mean 36 points against a Big 12 team. That's quite a.
They think they should be in the Big 12. That was definitely motivation for them.
Hey, I was doing some of the fonts and lining up who's in the Big 12, and by mistake I put Memphis in there just because there was so much talk about it. In my mind, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, they very could be. It was just a matter of Memphis at the time didn't have a president. They were in talks to get another stadium. If it would have been a couple years down the road, if it would be 2026 and they were, having that conversation, Memphis would have got in above, some of these. Just saying.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a Cincinnati Bearcats fan, and I think Memphis has every right as much as Cincinnati. Really, they deserve. They're every bit as worthy of the expansion. I think the timing of it was great for Cincinnati since they had just come off of a couple.
They had a big season. It's all about what have you done lately. So
yeah, I mean, you put like their metrics, the numbers, their attendance, and the amount their endowment and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It compares very favorably to Houston, UCF, and Cincinnati for sure.
Well, and their basketball program's pretty awesome. So I mean, I'm surprised they haven't been in the Big 12. I mean,
well, the Big 12 period basketball wise is just talk about a power.
Well, Memphis, you're going to see more. You're going to see more teams get grabbed up here and there. I think Memphis definitely has to be on the list of the short list of the next teams. They have to.
Because like the challenge was to get West Virginia some geography buddies, Now the challenge is get Central Florida some geography buddies.
Well, and Memphis would have fit right in with a lot of these because they're like they're pretty much right in the middle of this Big 12 footprint, and they're not far from Cincinnati. That's like a
yeah,
4-hour
but
drive.
still, you're going to have to get on a plane. It's going to be a long plane ride. But unless UCF gets somebody from the ACC to kind of join the Big 12, or like West Virginia gets Virginia Tech, Pitt, and any of those knuckleheads to jump ship. But Louisville would be fantastic. I would pick Louisville over Pitt. I would pick Virginia Tech over Pitt, and a lot of West Virginia fans are going to give me crap about that. But I think that's a better rivalry, honestly. But that's just me.
I did remember
like 45 minutes from each other.
Yeah, it's like my office. I have an office in Morgantown, and I live, 40 minutes north of Pittsburgh. Because it's only like 60 miles, and it's just one highway. Boom, and you're there. So, hey, did you guys see? I saw today on I think Facebook and Twitter there was a statistic that had each conference with what the revenue is per stadium. What they bring in, and I was very surprised that the Big 12 had so much more. I think it was like $7 million, $6 million for the second, third was like 4 or 5, but the SEC could not even touch the Big 10, and even the Big 12's top 3 were very comparable to what the top ones were for the SEC. That was really interesting, but
BIG, just in case Terrell's in here.
No, don't start that. Don't start the motto crap right now.
Well, now wait, will
Erica,
that revenue? Will the revenue go down? We start bringing in tiny little stadiums like they have up at Autzen. Will that mess with the numbers?
Hey,
no, the numbers based off of
that bitch is sold out. Unlike the Rose Bowl,
It's about 15,000 stadium.
Bringing 30,000 people into the Rose Bowl, 100,000.
It's based off of ticket revenue. Like what they make on a game day. Like
absolutely.
West Virginia was 2.8. But Texas was the highest in the SEC by $3 million. And then it went down. Oklahoma was second or third, but it was really surprising that the SEC did not have the revenue that the top 4 schools in the Big 10 had. So,
before I want to get on, because I do want to touch upon Erica quick. We didn't really read it. I want to touch it before I saw Joey's right now, but also Autzen doesn't have to cover their stadium like USC and UCLA with tarps to downsize their stadium seating capacity because they can't sell it. So, anyways, thank you, Erica. But no more Mayo Bowl ever again. They killed a donut.
Yeah, that was blasphemy. Those Krispy Kremes did not deserve that crap. They didn't,
That was wrong.
Yeah, you never kill a donut. Now I know there was some chat going on. Erica said it's bad what's going on with all these donuts, but people were asking if they'd ever had a cheeseburger with a donut bun. I have not. I've seen it, and
I've seen it.
Burger, the Luther burger from the Boondocks. I remember that.
I walk to go to work when I'm at school. When I go to work at my side job, I walk past the factory where they make the mayo. I might have to knock on the door and have to talk to someone about that.
Take a hot mayo bath.
Don't harass.
Rejuvenate yourself.
Don't harass the mayo workers.
Oh man, that's funny.
Joey,
but I mean,
look at Joey.
Hey,
no
Joey
judgment. Whatever you're into, this is America.
It's true. Be you. Look at Joey over here. He's a big spender. All that West Virginia money equals 25 cents each. The big spender. Thank you, Joey. Yep, there we go. Thank you, Tim. I'm assuming that was Tim. I'm not sure.
Hey, since I'm an Army alum, I guess you could say, a retiree, How about those guys going 2-6? They were 2-6 when they beat Air Force when they were ranked, and then they beat Navy. I didn't give them I put them on my top 10 pick for that week of being a good game against Air Force. Same with Arkansas that week. But, I could not believe that they pulled it out and they won the Commander's Cup. So I'm giving them a big round of applause.
They won it outright. Also, yes, by defeating.
Yeah, outright. They beat Air Force and they beat Navy, and
exactly.
I was working at West Point when they had lost 22 games straight, and they broke that streak.
Exactly. I want to touch really quick. I want to do really quickly before we just go into on another topic. Moose right here. Thank you very much for the super chat as well. Everyone, thank you for super chats. But heard the Rose Bowl was brutal getting in and out. I bet it is. Pasadena, I've heard, is not very friendly in that area, especially with
Pasadena is beautiful
and stuff like that and shit like that.
The Pasadena is absolutely gorgeous. That's one thing, but it's there's like two ways in and out. It's like a little. It's like it's stuck in a little like valley almost, and there's one way in.
And they have the Rose Bowl and they have the Rose Bowl.
What about
parade,
the
which
floats?
probably creates other issues.
You want to listen to the worst take in sport?
I was about to.
Stephen A. Smith talking about moving the Rose Bowl to SoFi Stadium so he can get a helicopter to come in and.
I mean, a man of the people, right?
Yeah.
Who says ESPN analysts are out of touch?
So, what do you guys think about moving the championship game to the Rose Bowl each year?
I love it.
I love the parade. I mean, I like the pageantry. I like the history. I'm big on that. I'm not, I have been giving you guys a hard time, and we've been laughing about the Pop-Tarts and stuff, but that to me is not college football. That's selling out. You might as well just put ads on the jerseys.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be. Amazing. It doesn't have to be the Rose Bowl, but I do think the Rose Bowl has been the site of a lot of national championship games over the years, anyway. But I don't want it in NFL stadiums. I just don't. I don't either. Belong anywhere near like SoFi or anything like that. That's not where college football. They're already trying to change college football into pro football, and it's going to fail if they try. But
yeah, I'll stop watching it.
You just have to draw the line.
I literally couldn't care less. You could play the game on a sand lot in the middle of Kansas.
I have a suggestion for the Cotton Bowl. I have a suggestion for the Cotton Bowl. Let's move the Cotton Bowl game out of the Jerry Dome and put it back into the Cotton Bowl stadium. I mean,
well, the problem is that a lot of these stadiums, like the Cotton Bowl, is not in good shape.
Like I said, the Cotton Bowl's falling apart.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the championship, you got to put it in an NFL stadium. I get that. I understand. Big production value, you got to do that. But for the playoff games, I don't think they should be at home or away. I think they should be a standard bowl game. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah, and that's what they've been doing. I mean, but like the thing is that like the major bowl games, like the Peach Bowl's at Mercedes-Benz now. I mean, that's already at National Stadium.
You mean
the Sugar Bowl's already in the other.
The Sugar Bowl's a Superdome.
Yeah, the Sugar Bowl's a Superdome, but it's been that way forever.
The Superdome's. Superdome's gone? Like the original Superdome is.
Yeah,
gone,
it's a new one. It's like the new Georgia Dome.
But I think they're both
Yeah, they're both new.
New Orleans or Mercedes-Benz called I think So
I mean, I know, but like
they're pretty much everything outside the Rose Bowl is in sort of this glitzy, new age, highfalutin stadium. So I mean, like the Rose Bowl is the one bit of tradition the sports cling to in that regard.
Hey, I have a question for you guys. Other than Pitt, what other college programs play in an NFL stadium or share a stadium with an NFL team? And that's just a disaster.
It's all about the U. It's all about the U. It's all about the U. It's all about the U.
Miami. Is Miami doing it now?
Mm-hmm.
University of Miami.
South Florida used to play at Raymond James, I believe.
Temple, UNLV, they play in an NFL stadium.
I knew Temple did.
Tulane did.
Tulane used to. Tulane moved away.
Tulane a couple years ago got their own stadium. That was big for them.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think do you correlate them 2 years ago going on a run and like what they had 10-win season 2 years in a row, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think if like Pitt, Temple, if those schools had their own stadium, I think that's a big draw for not only fans but for players. I think I don't know.
Wait, we're done talking about Army? Come on. I just busted it out for this shit and you're done talking Army? Oh, hell no.
Is that a CIB?
Hell no, you ain't done talking about
Look at you, man. You look like Patton.
I heard they might be going back to the triple. Anybody hear that?
Well,
the triple option.
They kind of still ran.
I heard.
I was like, the Army still really ran a triple option. They just started passing more, like Air Force.
Yeah,
and,
they
shout out Joey, 7-month member of the Mark Rogers channel. Moose, 9 months. Tim, 9 months. And Will, look at this generosity right here, gifting 5 voice.
Hey, Will noted. Thank you, Will.
Facts, Will dropping that cash.
Everyone in the chat one, make sure you can accept the gifts at the top of the chat. I think you have to say accept, and you can be rewarded one of these memberships. Voluntary, YouTube will automate it for you. And then please do, if you got one, please give a like and a thank to Will for that. So congrats to all the
I have my Army shirt on too.
Looks like the Bills knocked off the Dolphins, so I think that
they are your 2 seed in the AFC.
So they play the Steelers, huh?
Yeah, and we're gonna have the Tyreek Hill battle between the Chiefs and the Dolphins. But first, let's go over the 5 new members who are officially YouTube members of the Voice of College Football. Dave's here, A. Schraub, John Doman, Wet Blanket 10412, and Mike Rotunda.
There you go. And yeah, you don't even have
to college football.
You don't have to be here currently to get one of those be a recipient of that, but it goes to the most kind of like active people. It's all automated, but make sure you have that activated where you can accept these memberships. Now we got Moose doing it too. Moose is also getting 5 Voice of College Football memberships.
Wow. And the 5 new members are Wolverine Nation, Clint Moses, Darrell MVP, Roger Dodger, and Hummus Hero.
We found Darrell. He's lurking. That's how you catch him. That's how you catch people lurking in the distance. You throw some freebies.
So does that mean Darrell can show up on this panel now?
Yes.
That's
everyone. If you are a YouTube member, for the time being that you maintain that YouTube membership, you have to do it on your own now. You got a free one. You technically
this is
can
your
now
fault.
be
Whatever happened.
You can now technically be invited. If you have the YouTube membership, email Mark at the email in the description, MarkRogersTV@gmail.com. Jackson, I think you probably have that copy and pasted somewhere really quickly. You can post and let him know you're a YouTube member, and you can also get into the Discord temporarily while you maintain that membership. And well, for the time being, come on this panel also or be part of it. But definitely thank you everyone who's gifted those, Moose and Will. Very generous in the new year.
Well, now that the SEC has dropped into 2nd position, I don't know if the real will come on anymore.
The real is done. The real is done. He can't scream SEC anymore. He cannot scream SEC anymore.
I think he took too much of a cutting.
So talk about talent rankings. 2 teams outside the top 10 playing for a title now.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we're going to get. We're going to get into. You guys
it's an aberration.
You guys shortchanged my team. You guys shortchanged my team. What did you think?
It is
Oregon over Liberty. What did you think? Because you guys shortchanged my team conversation. It literally lasted 20 seconds.
That's because you played Liberty.
That was more than this game deserved.
Liberty.
We did what we're supposed to do. We did what we're supposed to do.
They beat everybody that was on their schedule. You give them credit. They looked really solid in the first quarter against Oregon, but then it just, the wheels fell off. But
Well, that's my thing. I've given Liberty all the respect I can and said there's going to be tricks. No matter what level of football you're at, to go undefeated is very hard. No matter what level of football you're at.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't
Ask Auburn, who got blown out by New Mexico State.
Now I guess I'm one of the few people. I think I had him at like a 36, 37 point confidence. It wasn't one of my top 3 because I got burned last year when I took a top pack team versus the top group of 5 teams. So I was kind of hesitant to do that again.
What teams were those again?
Tulane was one of them. I can't remember what the other one was.
Oh man, I know that other team's escaped.
I kept hearing it was USC, so it must have been South.
I think the year before,
right?
Tim is like.
I'm opening up old wounds here.
Let's.
He's like, keep it coming, keep it. Well, that's
Wait. Shaw's a Buckeye, right? My bad.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Oh God.
At least we're being fair and balanced now.
All right, what is
Well, we have
I feel
here
like
that
you could flip
Auburn
me during
beating
this
was
news
so
story, so-
bad that they were just kind of like, okay, we got to part ways with Philip Montgomery. So
yeah,
what's
Auburn
everybody's takeaway?
Auburn screwed my bowl picks up too. I thought Auburn would show up for that shit. They really screwed me.
I had Maryland, so
Yeah, I thought I did too, and then Auburn just didn't even show up. I was like, God.
I should have known better about Maryland. They tend to do well in the bowl games.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the thing. But
My thoughts on Philip Montgomery is I think he's probably getting shafted for just Auburn not putting a competent offense, not putting competent talent around.
I mean, isn't Hugh Freeze in charge of the
I don't-
offense, though? So
What's
is this really going to change much?
I think
He's
it's
like the play caller though, so he has insight and information and play calling, but he doesn't necessarily fully design the plays. I think right. It's kind of like Chip Kelly. He's the OC, but he's the play caller. He's the head coach and the play caller, but he's not really the OC. There is still an OC like Lincoln Riley. There's still an OC behind the man that does a lot of the dirty work, so to say.
I watched a fair bit of Auburn football this year. Their receivers are just non-existent. I mean, their offensive weapon, they have no explosiveness on that team at all. I mean, he was having to revert to running like high school offense, like single wing stuff. There, I think it was really unfair. It's really unfair to bury him. I don't think he was given any chance to succeed with Auburn's personnel this year.
well, they got a quarterback from Michigan State, so
And more
He
memberships from
yeah.
Moose. More memberships from
Yep.
Moose. Another 5.
Here's the thing.
And you get a membership, and you get a membership,
Hey,
and
he
you
produced.
Everyone gets a damn YouTube membership tonight.
Yeah, we're
Almost,
really-
Yep,
almost,
and
almost.
it
Not
is.
everyone.
Sergeant Pickles, Ferris,
If you go
Todd
up and
Gwynn,
say
and
hi in the
Victor
chat,
Square.
you get a membership.
Everyone's
Hey,
so generous.
We
tonight.
appreciate Moose and everybody who's gifting.
Very much.
Will,
Keep it up, Moose.
Everybody.
Really appreciate it. Mhm.
Well, thinking of that, this is the whole thing because we have to get to the one game the only game that really matters. But we do have to discuss it. So Jackson, Mike, and John, you guys get to have it out. Battle, Michigan versus Alabama. What happened? What went wrong? Not just the Milton fumble that really screwed that game up for Alabama. But
is it offensive line? Alabama's offensive line they looked like they didn't know what they were doing. Jesse Minter was just throwing too many stunts. They looked flat-footed and confused, to be honest. Milroe just kept getting put on his butt because Milroe has a history of holding the ball too long. Not that he didn't have really have a chance to do it this time. I mean, the Michigan front seven was living in that backfield of theirs. Held up to 106. I think it's 116 passing yards. What more can you do? I mean, But the problem I thought was that there's a lot of people that place blame on this one for Milroe. This was not on Milroe. This fell flat on Tommy Reese and that offensive line. Tommy Reese, he should have realized that he had some success running the ball against us. Chase McClellan, got his yards, got that one touchdown run where he juked Sainer still out of his socks and marched in for, I think it was a 30-something yard touchdown run. Justice Haynes was getting on the outside. They were moving the ball on the ground, and Reese just did not capitalize on it. So this one fell on Tommy Reese, and it fell on the offensive line.
Agree.
Will, do you want to weigh in on Tommy Reese's play calling really quick?
I mean, this is Tommy Reese. Tommy Reese cannot break down a great defense, and like Michigan has a great defense. Tommy, like, there's some games where he's perfect, but more often than not, you end up blaming him at the end of big games.
Yeah, I mean, if Tommy Reese should have had Buckner back there, and Alabama would have had a chance, right? Will?
Well, to Mike Fort's point, the O-line not protecting Jalen Milroe, that was one of the things that cost us. But I will say the turning point of the game was 4th and 2 when J.J. McCarthy threw to Blake Corum. I mean, that was a turning point right then and there. And I'm not going to lie, before that play was made, I was like, man, this is going to be another blown opportunity at a big game for Michigan. I got a feeling this is going to be another one. But they proved me wrong. They proved a lot of people wrong. Going into the Rose Bowl, I'm sure Michigan had a lot of naysayers. They were like, oh, man, if they lose this game, they're never going to win the big game. And, a lot of people wondered about Alabama. This was going to be the same Alabama team from the past national title teams, or if it's just going to be the same Alabama teams from the past 2 years.
I don't think they're not as good as the past 2 years.
No,
Definitely not.
Because like the past 2 years we've been undisciplined, but like we didn't have a bunch of penalties like we did in the first half of the season. So
you had a great quarterback, a dynamic guy who could conceal a lot of things, and you don't have that this year.
Well, and the other thing that kind of got masked is that Georgia had not lived up to their previous 2 years either. I mean, let's face it, this was a down SEC.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Clearly. Yeah. I mean, all I have to say about it is this is a game that traditionally Michigan loses, right? Like, we all know it. ESPN Instant Classic, Michigan's on the losing end, right? And I think it's a hallmark of this team that they were able to they were winning in the first half. They were dominating Alabama's defense in multiple plays in the first half. Then the greatest coach of all time makes adjustments in the third quarter. Goes to more man coverage, goes to try to attack some of the things that Michigan was doing. And it took a bit for Michigan to respond again, but they did in that final drive in the fourth quarter and obviously overtime. So Michigan found a way to win a game that normally it loses.
Well, and one of the things that almost hurt you guys was that missed extra point. That was like,
the special teams as a whole was the worst I've ever seen at Michigan.
Yeah, because I mean, if you were going up against like 09 Bama or like 2015 Bama, they're not going to forget it, and they're going to take advantage of that.
No, of course not.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'll tell you, as much as I don't like seeing Michigan possibly winning a national championship, I do feel good for that. What's that punt return's name?
Jake Thaw.
Thaw for us.
Yeah, he almost made a humongous error that would have cost you the championship, and no matter how much I dislike the team, I never want to see a guy experience something like that.
Yeah,
it wasn't that Samaj was at fault for.
Well, no. But there was like that would have been just such a that would have been so critical because you are almost dead if you give them the ball right there.
Right,
Like
This is not to take anything away from Michigan, who's having a great season. Look, now, Michigan fans, I start that with that premise. But Mark just said this is the worst Alabama team since 2007. This team this year, really the one team I feel doesn't have a fatal flaw, and we're seeing them in the finals. We're seeing the final two in the playoffs because all the other teams that were solid teams, they had big gaping holes. One big huge hole for Alabama was usually you're used to seeing offensive lines, including Alabama's offensive line, wear teams down, wear down the defensive line. But in this game, it seemed like the front seven, especially the defensive line for Michigan, it seemed like it wore down Alabama's offensive line.
I have to push back on that. I don't think that's the case at all. Alabama's offensive line mowed in the second half. This team had net adjusted 240 yards rushing. And most
did you watch overtime though, Sean? I'm talking about over at the end of the game. Did you watch them in overtime?
I mean, like they were still having some success moving the ball. They got it down to the 3. And I mean, if they don't have the unsung key moment in the game is the substitution penalty Alabama had when they're up 17-13. Once they were forced into a 1st and 15, I think Reese made some bad play calls. When they were on schedule in the second half, the only team stopping Alabama in that second half was Alabama.
Hey, Sean.
Yeah.
That one again.
No. Okay, so what I'm saying that it to me. Well, they had success, Ryan. That's how they're going to win this. This is why I thought that Michigan was going to lose this game. I thought that they hadn't faced someone like Milroe, and that he was going to be the difference maker in this game. And they were able to move the ball on the ground, but it just to me, I'm just saying I didn't see them move. You're saying they moved it, but they weren't. It just seemed like the end of the game they were done. When you looked at those two teams, to me, and everyone looks at it was just it was a bad snap, etc. It just looked like Michigan was the better team down the stretch. That's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah, they were.
No. I mean, yeah, I think it was, and I think Michigan momentum is a thing in football, and Michigan carried the momentum from the end of regulation into overtime. I mean, Alabama wasn't the second half. Alabama was stoning Michigan almost every time they tried to run between the tackles, every time, and then Michigan gets 2 plays and just bam.
Yeah, when Roman Wilson got that penalty, I thought the momentum was going to shift. I thought Michigan was just going to start fading, but then he made a big play, 2 minutes later. So I mean, that's where the things changed for me as far as the flow of the game. I thought Alabama was going to win. Up until 2 plays after he had that flag thrown on him.
Yeah. That
I think he's number 1. I think his number is number 1. I had to think about it, but Roman Wilson, I think, is his name.
Yep, Roman Wilson.
Roman Wilson. I mean, he made the play of the game. That running away from him, that back shoulder. I mean, that was
he won that game with that play, and just 2 plays before that. Most kids with their mental toughness, they would have just been a sad panda, hung their head, but he didn't let that play, ruin the game for him, and it very easily for most kids it would have.
Right, and he was and the mental toughness factor, he was basically a non-factor most of the game. I mean, he had been kind of not involved in the offense, and then. But right when it came time to shine, he makes the amazing catch that might have saved an interception.
Well, and again, this whole game,
and then he makes the touchdown catch. It was amazing.
This whole game came down to 3 big plays, I think, at the end. The second half, the Milroe fumble. Obviously, penalties played a part, but the Milroe fumble really stopped Alabama's momentum. The 4th down for Michigan to keep going, to keep that drive alive, to go to overtime. And then, of course, the 4th down stop on Milroe at the what was supposed to be a quarterback draw, but it was not executed well at all to end the game.
No.
Those are like three crucial plays all in the second half that really set a tone. Other than that, the game was pretty. I mean, it was who was going to make the biggest mistake or make the biggest play when it mattered the most.
And
That was kind of how the game went.
they were all, both teams were taking their shot trying to make a bigger mistake. I mean, it was dramatic. It was compelling, but I don't think no one could argue that was the cleanest played game ever.
Well, I would say as far as the biggest mistakes were probably Michigan. I mean, he had one near mistake that was an interception that we kind of got lucky because the cornerback was on the
True.
had his
We
foot
got
on
real lucky.
Mike, you're so right. I felt it.
Yeah, he had the side of his foot like, a millimeter into the into the paint. It was definitely the right call. It was 100% the right.
So I thought the biggest ones were Michigan. I thought the most was Alabama because I count every one of those snaps that McLaughlin screwed up as a mistake, and there were more than enough of those. So Michigan played a cleaner game. I mean, they had the worst mistakes, but they had few of the bad mistakes, and they didn't let them.
And some of their mistakes didn't cost them.
Yeah, that's what I was getting ready to say too.
Go ahead.
Yeah, like the thaw, when he got, and now if that was for a safety, that would have cost the game. But the fact that he was able to get it back and stay out of the end zone for a safety, it didn't screw the game up.
Well, it was with Michigan pulling it out in a nail biter against Alabama. If you want to talk mistakes and potential just catastrophes and screwing up a game plan with play calling and everything, Tim, I'm going to let you represent the great Pacific Northwest in Washington, because Washington should have beaten Texas by not allowing 3 plays within like 5 seconds to end that game and to still come away with a victory. They should have beat Texas by probably 2 to 3 scores.
They need to, I mean, Ben and panel and chat, you guys, they need to revisit that rule. I don't get why they can't, wind the clock, start the clock, not on the snap, but when the ball is set for play. That truly, of course, they're not going to take the 10-second runoff because they're trying to get the ball back. They're trying to get ball back with time. But when you have an injured player, why should you be penalized? Almost like giving them another timeout. Someone give me a reason, a football reason why that should happen. Realistically, the ball should have been placed, set for play, and then they should have wound the clock. And then if someone can call a timeout, fine. But I don't see the reason behind that. Anyone help me out why they would do that?
I 100% agree with that one. It should just be like other times where they set the ball, the ref backs up and just like wind it.
Yeah, and then run the clock.
Like, I don't get why they have to stop, because like you're just giving someone else a timeout, basically. That's all you're doing. Like,
your player's injured. Crap. Clearly the offensive team that's winning is not trying to stop the clock. So it's not some kind of ploy there. Not sure exactly what the purpose is of giving the defense a free timeout. That right there, that one injury literally made that they could have lost the game because of that stoppage right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't get it. I mean, and that was tough for Washington because, I mean, they could have just probably ran it out a little bit at that point, but that gave, when Dylan went down in that timeout, that gave Texas an entire easily extra, the extra like 30, at least 35, 40 seconds. I mean, but
they
would have talked about a team again a team who put up yards and did everything to win the game big, and it came down to, like Mark says, 4 shots from the 12-yard line to potentially
that would never have happened. That should never have happened. I mean, they run those 40 seconds off the clock. They've got what, like, I can't remember. I don't remember the exact numbers, but they had like 15, 20 seconds, 15 seconds.
Yep.
Yeah. So that alone just completely changed
Probably
the game.
Like 17 seconds.
Yeah. Still,
the injury was big. Also, the injury to Johnson just stopped the clock and everything.
Well, they say he'll be able to play in the national championship. So there's I'm hoping he'll be okay. But
And
That-
me too.
that
I
kid
hope
has-
he's okay too.
Yeah, I'd be
But
surprised if he's 100%.
that kid has busted his ass for the Washington Huskies this whole season, man. He has busted his tail, man. I mean,
And I'll tell you where his value is high is probably the highest is in protection. He's an absolute freaking monster. He's a sixth lineman.
Well, protection, huge, right? You nail it there. Not that offensive line needs too much help with protection, but you're right. That's your extra lineman. You can always get a little extra help. But I would also say that early in the year I couldn't have been more wrong. I was calling Washington one dimensional. Granted, I didn't realize that they had to replace some interior O line, and they sure as hell did a great job of doing that. But man, Johnson runs the ball hard as well, and I think that his running would have been complementary to that offensive line and helped out against Michigan in that front seven. So that is a big loss if he can't come back. Pickles, did he re-injure the foot injury? What was the actual injury? Have they said yet?
Well, the thing is, on one side, I think Dylan Johnson had like about 1,100 yards for the season. On the other half those were like against USC. So there's really no telling how.
Well, that's probably true. That's probably true. Ask him. How many was it? Let's see. I don't know.
I mean, he ran for like 250 on USC.
Well, remember you.
That's actually more than that.
Tim will say this. Tim will say this, and it's not a dig at USC either, like you were trying to do. But Tim, USC made a lot of players look like Heisman contenders. When Grinch was
just
there.
moving us into the Big Ten, I think we were like 90th or 80 something in the country. Instantly, as soon as we went to the Big Ten, our defense automatically jumped up 50 spots. So now we're 30 because there's no offense in the Big Ten.
What is it? What is this, Jackson? I can't really see it.
Dylan Johnson.
You got to start warning me what all these pop-ups are when you start doing this because I can't see what they are.
Yeah, it's Dylan Johnson ready to play in the national championship versus Michigan.
Yeah, but is he
I
gonna
think
be
he'll
100%?
play, but he won't be 100%. That's probably what it's going to be.
It's going to be like 77.
Well, and I just found a report they promised his mother that he's going to play in the national championship. So,
Well, I'm sure he's not going to purposely sit out or voluntarily. I mean, but yeah, he's probably not going to be 100%. I don't know what the injury was myself, and I don't know if they've said it. So I'm not sure.
Well, it was the ankle, I believe.
It definitely looked like ankle or foot, but yeah, how bad it was.
He had a foot injury earlier in the year, right? Like he missed one of those games. Early in the season. I don't know if there's a broken bone or whatnot, but
But
get the
I will say
short shots in him, and he'll be like,
it could be a situation though. I worry it's like Blake Corum 2022. When they technically he was playing in the Ohio State game and then he went 6 yards and that was it. I hope it's not that. I hope he comes out and he's as healthy as he can be. But I do predict we are going to see a healthy dose of the backup.
Oh, probably they're not going to use him 100% of the game. I don't think. Depending on what it was or how bad it is or what his purpose is, and that's why. Because
his presence or absence will not be the reason, though, Washington wins or loses this game.
No, and that's why the drum roll is because we have, unfortunately, everyone shed a tear. One final game in the college football season, and it's over for 2023. For the long,
it breaks my heart. I'll be so sorry to say goodbye to 2023.
I know I will.
Gonna miss that defense.
I'm sure you are.
Because we have tomorrow night in less than 24 hours the 2023 national championship game. Washington versus Michigan. Washington, I believe, is a 4 to 4.5 point dog to Michigan right
5 now.
Well, they went down because
Is it
it was at 5.
Is it
5
5?
now.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, I've seen 4.
Depends on where you
5.
shop for good lines here.
Yeah, we'll go with that rate. We'll just say 5 just for the hell of it. Points less than a touchdown dog. And so what we're going to do is, I guess between me and Tim, we will be kind of the Washington Nation voice here a little bit with Sergeant Pickles in the chat, as well as then hear the Michigan fans as to why each team could win or why each team will lose, and who you're going to pick as your new national champion for 2023. Take it away, Michigan. I'll let you guys are the voice here.
I'll let John go first.
So yeah, this is like my third or fourth run through of this, so forgive me. But essentially, my argument is that Michigan has about 6 or 7 ways they can win, and Washington has 1. Starting with Washington, their way to win is obviously Michael Penix needs to play like a superhero. He needs to ball out like he did last week. His ability to throw at tight windows, to escape, to hit his wide open receivers too. He's very, very good. And they're going to have to contain Washington enough where they hold, or Michigan enough where they get, maybe get a field goal or 2. Michigan, on the other hand, has like 6 or 7 keys, right? Number 1 on defense, obviously, using Will Johnson to cover Odunze, using Sanders still and the secondary to try to pick Penix off once or twice, shut the run down because the run is already 100th in the country. Shut it down, make it be a little more one-dimensional. And then on offense, I think you're going to see Michigan's offense looking like they did in the first half of the season. So if you go back and you watch Nebraska and you watch Minnesota and you watch J.J. McCarthy slinging it, that's what you're going to see, I predict. Some variation of that. You're going to see play action. You're going to see J.J. running. You're going to see J.J. throwing deep shots to Roman Wilson. You're going to see RPOs. You're going to see a vast majority of stuff. The one thing I worry about special teams after Bama, but I think they'll clean it up after this week. So, I'm feeling very confident about Michigan.
And
See, the thing is Michael Penix doesn't have to be Superman. He didn't have to have a great game. He just needs to be Michael Penix. He's shown us that he is an NFL arm and that he doesn't have to ball out and go out of his mind in order to have a great game, hit small windows, have touch on the long ball. And the thing with Washington also is you're right. Will Johnson's stud, just amazing, but he can't cover McMillan, Polk, and Odunze. He's got to pick one, and then maybe you have someone else cover that. But those are 3 NFL high draft pick caliber receivers, all with different skill sets, all with the ability to take it to the house on any time they catch the ball. If Washington's going to win this game, it's going to have to be a shootout. They're going to have to slow the game down, which kind of goes against their whole scheme of how they play. But it's going to be a shootout with and I think it's going to be whoever has the ball last. But I do think that Washington has the ability to move the ball much better than in that situation. If they're stuck, there's a 2-minute drill at the end of the game. It's going to be Washington who you're going to see probably most likely scoring. I wouldn't have the same kind of faith in the Michigan's ability to move the ball. And Michigan has sometimes shown the ability to be sluggish on offense. And it's not like Washington is a bad defensive team. They're not great, but I think that they're in football. It's not about who has the best defense. It's who scores the most points. And this Washington offense, I said it last week with Milrow, you guys haven't seen a quarterback that can throw and receivers that can catch and run like you've seen. They're going to see on Monday. So I think that Michigan is going to be there to the end, but I think that Washington absolutely has an ability to knock them off.
And I want to
say
expand
Washington
on that.
2020. So the one thing, and then I'll shut up and everyone else, but Ohio State 2022 was the closest comp I could find because no one in 2023 has an offense that was ranked anywhere near Washington. So I had to go back to 2022. But if you look at that game, you look at CJ Stroud, he put up a crap load of yards, I think close to 400, if not 400. Marvin Harrison Jr., Igbuka, top receivers. I would say Washington has a greater quantity of NFL, like the top NFL, whereas Marvin Harrison Jr. and Igbuka to a certain extent is the equivalent with Ohio State. But that was my comp, and Michigan won. And how did they win? By limiting Stroud a couple of times to field goals and to doing enough on offense as well to get the win.
Yeah, but that was Ryan Day calling, and I got to go to DeBoer.
And you had Connor Stallions in that game too. So,
Yeah.
Well,
Mike,
No,
what's your Mike?
I did. Okay, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, yeah, Mike, what's your take? Because I want to double up for Washington here, represent for Southern Pickles here. Make it fair.
I recognize that Penix is great and he has great wide receivers, but this is probably the second best wide receiver room in the nation when we've already played the first. Now, is Kyle McCord in Michael Penix country? No. But keep in mind, and I saw Mark put in here, as far as offensive efficiency, Michigan is higher than Washington. Keep in mind, people don't remember that, all the talk about, I think Penix threw, 9 interceptions this season, as opposed to, was it 33 touchdowns? So let's not get this confused. This team, and they also played some very weak defenses. And basically in the Pac-12, the only real defenses are UCLA and Utah. I think they did not play UCLA. And I think Utah was a pretty close game. This is a team that scored 15 against Arizona State in Seattle.
No, well, hold on. They were hurt. There were a bunch of guys sick in that game, including Penix.
Arizona State, though. But anyway, this is a team
that was in the desert too. Weird things happen in the desert.
It was in Seattle. It was in Seattle.
It was in Seattle. Okay.
It was in Seattle. They played Arizona in Tucson. But keep in mind that Dylan Johnson, he might play. If he's 100%, I'm going to be shocked. I think this game's going to come down to we're going to find out if this offensive line is worthy of that Joe Moore Award. They will have to be every inch as good as they are, they're hyped up to be right now. Because if they are anything short of stellar and deserving of that award, Penix is going to have a hard time. And for all the talk, I get, Odunze, Polk, McMillan, they're great. And it's not just Will Johnson. You got Stan Ristillo. You got Moore. This is a secondary that's ranked second in the nation. And Washington has not seen anything. But even when they went to the playoffs, Texas has one of the worst secondaries in the country. I think they're ranked like 120 something. They
are pretty bad. I will attest that they were ranked pretty low.
Yeah. So to say that they haven't seen a secondary anything like this, that gets overlooked, but everybody keeps wanting to say, oh, well, we've never seen an offense like this. So, you have to really be honest and you have to be, fair on both sides, because if you're pointing out one and you're not pointing out the other, you are very much cherry picking these stats, and it's just showing a desire for Michigan to lose. You're basically trying to hype yourself up to Michigan lose because that's what you want. Statistically on paper, I have it as 38-23. I do not think that when the last 4 or 5 minutes hits in the fourth quarter, I do not think Washington is in this game. Even with Dylan Johnson 100%, I do not see them in this game. This was a team that, we put all sorts of pressure on Bama, so we're going to find out if that offensive line is worthy of that award. But I think that we're going to be able to hold. I would say we'll hold Penix to, I'll say, 65% passing, 350, 360, and I'll say 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Because this is an opportunity.
I don't know where you're. Wait, hold on, Mike. I don't know where you're magiking up all these numbers. That all sounds really great, but what I'm telling you is that if he does get time, that's a big if, right? Because they haven't faced your front seven. But if he has time, and there's going to be no win, is playing in a dome, right? So it's all Michael Penix's arm and his accuracy. I'm having a hard time thinking that Michael Penix gets just stymied by the defense. We can come back and I'll come take my comeuppance if that happens. But I'd be really shocked if you guys are able to shut him down.
Well,
I've watched every Michigan game this year. I don't think they've got an elite pass rush. I think the fact that you got home so much against Bama is more of an indictment against Bama. I watched you got this team against, better offenses, weaker. I mean,
our edge rushers
against Ohio State, you didn't get home very often. Against, against Maryland, you didn't get home that often.
Michigan's edge rushers are not that great. I'll tell you that. But I mean, if you think you're going to sit there and stop, Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant, good luck.
From getting some disruption, you're right about that.
We'll see. Like I said, we'll see if they earned that Joe Moore award. That's what
this is the great thing. This is the great thing because you get to see teams from because next year everything's Big Ten now.
Yep.
Between these teams, so it's kind of a precursor. Now next year every team will be different, so you can't use this year's. And
that's what I love about this game is that regardless of who wins it all Monday night, it's going to be a revenge game for whoever loses tomorrow night on October 5th at Husky Stadium on either Fox, CBS, or NBC.
I think the biggest thing, and this is my comp, so like for certain pickles here in the chat, yes, Alabama's not the same Alabama team, but when you have a month to prepare for a team, and you can say, well, that benefited Alabama more than Michigan. Point is, you saw what it took to beat Alabama even. Now you only have a week, not even like the 10-day, like traditionally, to prepare for this offense. You can say, well, we haven't seen an offense like that. Well, if you want to compare an offense, say Maryland, that one was close.
Yep.
This is a much better quarterback and wide receiver room than Maryland.
Yeah.
And
there's been debate in the chat, even Mark saying that Ohio State has a better Marvin Harrison.
We can argue the wide receiver room, but the nod will go to Penix.
No, but my point is
quarterback.
My point is that if Washington is not the best, they are like 1B right behind.
Oh yeah.
Because this group is that good. To just go, oh, they got some good guys out there in Seattle. No. These receivers production year in and year out the last 2 to 3 years has shown that they are absolutely elite and they can play with anybody at Ohio State.
And I will say the one thing I was surprised that Washington won the Moore Award. I was a little surprised by that, but I will say one thing they do a really good job of on that O-line is holding up long enough. One, not just for your 50-50 sideline, type shots. They allow a lot of time for those long crossing patterns for their receivers. And like in the Pac-12 title game, we didn't see that in the first matchup with Washington. And then that second game, they started doing these long patterns. And those your DBs can't keep up with it when it's that long of a route. Your DBs start falling behind. Yep. So, and Penix he's been phenomenal for 2 seasons in a row. And he's had some hit and misses here. Tim said, that whole team apparently was sick for like 3 or 4 weeks, and they
went through
still won those. They still won their games. They still did it. And guess what? Every team has these. Michigan's had how many close games this year? Look, Oregon. Last time the Pac-10 team, the only last Pac-10 team that went undefeated was Oregon in 2010. We had a ugly. Tim, do you remember what it was? It was like 15-8 or 15-13 win over Cal. Or something like that in 2010. I think it was like 15-13 at Cal. It was ugly.
Brutal.
Ugly. But guess what? Every team is going to have one of those games on their schedule. Washington has still overcome them all. And I think that Michigan just doesn't know the offense they're about to see. Like, look at Texas. They had all that time to prepare. What does Washington do? They do a run play and then that deep shot for like 70 yards to a Dunze or whatever at the very beginning of the game. And Texas went, oh, shit.
Yeah.
I know
we go back and forth,
Texas secondary was weak. Is a little weak this year. I get that, but the point is, it's stuff to prepare for, and Texas had time to prepare for it, and they still didn't prepare for it.
And we can finally, we get to see this matchup. What happens because usually USC has the top, elite offenses in the country, goes up against one of the top defenses in the Big Ten, right? Well, we always talk about this, and are the defenses in the Big Ten that elite, or is it that the offenses are the good? Are the USC are the Pac-12 offense is that elite, or is it that the defenses in the Pac-12 are that weak? It's kind of hard to gauge because I think, like we always say, it's a little bit of both.
Okay.
And so in this game, we're going to be able to see.
And a month to prepare for a team gives a huge advantage to be able to potentially solve certain weaknesses of the your team is facing, no matter who you are, defensively, offensively, et cetera, But a week is such short notice. It's that's why it kind of makes it almost like if you say 4 or 5 points, whatever, to me that's still almost a coin flip. That's like.
Well, I want to address a couple things in the room. One of them, Sergeant Pickles is talking about, Odunze, compared to Marvin Harrison Jr. And then he started listing, Polk and McMillan. But I mean, you can't just list 3 on one side and 1 on the other one. If you're going to list, that go down the list, you're going to have to throw in Ibuka. You're going to have to throw in Fleming. You're going to have to throw in Ennis. You're going to have to throw in Tate. Not all those guys played a ton, but if you're gonna, you can't just, well, I'm saying, you can't just say, compare your whole, wide receiver room to one guy for Ohio State. And the other one is the difference between Washington and Maryland. Maryland plays a spread up-tempo offense. Washington, despite all the talk about them being an air raid, they are still a ball control offense. This is not a team that's going to try and score in, 2 and 3 minute drives. They still
they're probably scoring less. I mean,
no
one throws more like 40 and 50 yard. No one throws more 9 or more posts in the country than Washington does.
Yeah, but Washington still takes their time at the line a little bit. They can hurry up, but they'll get up there quick and sit there for 20 seconds.
They do. You can't run that many 9, and you can't run up tempo if you're running like just 9 in post routes and you're trying to hit the big bomb every play.
Yeah.
You can't.
But they don't. Hold on, guys. Hold on. They just like this idea that they're just like one of those Charger teams back in the late early 80s. Just airing it out constantly.
Dan Fowler.
It's not that kind of football. They do shallow crossers with their It's not like it's just all open air. The pass concepts they have are very balanced, and so if you're sitting back, they will pick you apart. Matter of fact, that's probably what they would like to do to eat clock.
Yeah, they want you to sit back. Yeah.
I'm intrigued. I guess for me, like for Sergeant Pickles and Tim especially, I know it's just like how one, again, not because of the Big Ten scenario this next season, but how fucking fitting is it for the Pac-12 to die the year that a Pac-12 team has a chance to win a national title?
Not only that,
absolutely how ridiculously fitting is it? Just
this is
honestly,
the best season.
This sounds like a 30 for 30.
Best season since probably 07 for the Pac.
Yeah, 15 years.
Liapkov fumbled the bag.
It's just
imagine if UCLA had an offense and USC had a defense, that would be even better.
No shit. I mean, imagine if there had been like 2 other teams that really stepped up. This year, you had, of course, UW, Oregon, and then you had out of nowhere. I mean, not necessarily out of nowhere, but
Oregon
over
State was fun to
expectation,
watch.
Arizona. Over expectation.
Arizona came back. It was gangbusters.
Yeah, Oregon State also had the benefit of a very weak schedule.
This honestly feels like a 30 for 30 documentary in the making, especially for this season with the Pac-12.
The epic collapse and especially if Washington won the national title. If Washington won the title tomorrow night, it would have to be like a 30 for 30, I think, because it'd be
it's got
wasn't it the Utah AD that decided against the 30 million a year? Wasn't it that AD's fault?
It was Arizona.
No, it was a bunch of
4 of them just sat on their hands and let things just slide across their desk without looking at them. Pretty much.
Yeah, it was a bunch of cocky bullshit, dumb, stubborn. AD
We're too big to fail. Attitude.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, whatever documentary gets made about the demise of the Pac-12
I can't wait
in the future. I definitely want to see Tony Altimore's face prominent in that documentary, whatever we're talking about, because no one knows more.
There'll be the naysayer who spread misinformation, Tony Altimore, with fact checks about it.
But clearly, no one knows more about like the
Tony will narrate it. Tony will write it. Tony be the producer, the writer and director, and do a damn good job. Until the Big 12 crazies come and try to flood the screen, but hopefully you can fight them off.
And shout out love to our Beaver brothers. You will not be mentioned on the show next season.
Now, Tony needs to ghost write it and then appear as a talking head in the documentary.
Well, I don't. Maybe Oregon State can be that G5, the best of G5 team that makes the playoffs.
That's
the thing.
Right now.
No, the thing is
losing
losing Jonathan Smith really was the nail for. Sorry, Clint, plug your ears for that program. I just think that I'm worried. What really sucks is they just upgrade all their facilities and things, and they get the shaft like this because of television rights and ruining a conference. It's really what happened.
Stupid
Without
AD
Jonathan
and
Smith, I mean, look at the transfer portal. They've lost all their players. Who are they going to have next year? They're not going to be the same team.
No. Will notice that firsthand, right?
Will?
It was a combination of stuff. I
dozed off.
Yeah, sorry.
We're just talking about Oregon State, the depletion of their roster.
yeah.
So you witnessed that firsthand.
I felt bad for the Beavs, man. Honestly, I felt
Me
like I
too.
wasn't like I was happy we won, but I just felt bad for the Beavs. Like it was a sad way for them to go out.
Yeah, I mean, as the Beaver fans, I picked the Beavers actually in that bowl game because I thought they would show up with stability and pride and everything like that. But yeah, that didn't go well.
I think they did. They just didn't show up with talent.
Well, that too. I have to touch this because there are other things we have to do on here besides you guys ranting and raving about the Beavers. We almost left this off, and I apologize, Matthew Miller. Sidetracked here. So I apologize to you. Thank you for the super chat here. Who is the key player on each side? And also jumping ahead, who are the top 5 championship threats next year in the 12-team playoff? And also, who's better next year, Washington or Michigan? Ooh, that's a loaded one. All right, let's start with each key player on each team. Who's the key player here for Michigan and for Washington?
Roma, I would say Blake Corum for Michigan, Rome, and probably Penix for Washington, and then Will Johnson.
Yeah,
for Michigan for sure.
I was thinking Penix and Johnson.
Yeah.
Penix, Corum, McCarthy, Wilson. Yeah. Roma Dunzee's another one. I don't see how anybody hadn't come up with Roma Dunzee. Millens and X Factor, as a matter of fact.
Well, because you only can name one. I mean, if we're going by players, I could have started.
I would have to say for Washington, it's Penix because I mean, if he's not delivering the ball, it doesn't matter what the receivers do.
I almost
wide
forgot
open
about
if their backup can't hit them. I mean, what does it matter? So I would say it's Penix for Washington.
Crap! I almost forgot about Polk from Washington. How could I forget him? Good
the tight end for Washington's nasty too.
The next question, that's going to be a fun one. The top 5.
So it's I mean, if I just exclude quarterbacks, because that's easy. I mean, that's just always every game they're going to be the key player. For Washington, I think the key is Parker Brailsford, their center, in the game. So Michigan's got a great interior defensive front, and he's a redshirt freshman center. Yeah, I think how the interior holds up is going to determine a lot in how successful Washington is in this game.
I'm going the other way around.
Offensively, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Sorry, I thought you were done.
Oh no! I said okay. So for Michigan offensively, I think the key player is Colson Loveland. I think he needs to be the guy that extends. You need to find ways to extend drives. That's how Michigan has gone about games the whole year. They don't need huge plays. They just need to finish drives, and he's the guy that will do it for them. For Michigan defensively, I think the guy is Sam Ristel. He's had a great year as a nickel guy, and but I mean, he's going to be challenged in ways in this game that he hasn't been at any point in the last 2 years. I mean, they're going to carry him deep. They're going to run, crossers and verticals, and his athleticism is going to be tested in this game. It'll be very, very a very important game for him in NFL draft film. And I mean, like, it's no secret he's not the fastest guy in the world. Like, he's not going to run a 4.4 at the combine. He's just a tough, solid, strong, good football player. Washington's going to throw the kitchen sink at him. Can he really hold up with McMillan and Polk and all the different variety of formations they run? Mm-hmm.
Well, so I'm going to flip it over. I don't think it's going to come down on both defenses. I know Washington's going to move the ball, but it's whoever is. I think you already said it, John. Whoever your second corner is, that guy needs to be your player of the game. That guy needs to step up and do something because, again, I don't know who they're going to match up on, but I would assume it'd probably be on McMillan, or Dunze. But then you have McMillan and Polk. Those guys are a handful, and you guys are going to need to win this game. You guys will need to find an answer for those guys. And then for the Huskies, this guy Braylon Trice. He didn't have a great season this year, but the last year, this guy is an elite pass rusher. If he can stop, he's healthy.
He had a good game against Texas. He had a really good game against Texas. He really showed up.
If he turns it up and if he's fully healthy for this game, he is absolutely has the ability to be a game changer and make differences. And then another guy they have overall for the Huskies would be Muhammad. I forgot Jabbar Muhammad. I think Jabbar. That guy is again.
Might not be healthy either.
Yeah, he got hurt at the end of the game. That's why I'm wondering how healthy he's going to be for this one. But he can also be an absolute game changer. That maybe a combination of the pass rush with him, because this game will come down to and it's going to be about turnovers. And I think that's what's going to happen is whoever that second cornerback is, because they're not going to throw at Will Johnson. They're not. I mean, I know they might test him a couple of times, but they're going to throw to their side of the ball. So whoever's over there is going to need to step up and have a great game. And if they do, then then I think Michigan has a great chance. And again, if Bryce can cause havoc and can cause problems, that also either double teams so other guys can eat, or if he can get loose himself, he'll cause McCarthy a lot of trouble. So those I think are my keys to the game.
Olafosio too at linebacker. If he can stop, if they can at least not, he's not going to totally stop the run, but if he can limit it a bit, slow down Michigan, that would be big.
Okay, I have to agree with Tim. I think one of the biggest things in this game, no matter what either side of the ball you want to go to, I think it's Michigan's secondary controlling these guys, because you focus on one receiver, boom, the other one's all of a sudden the hot route, and you didn't even realize it. And I mean, and as Tim has seen him, Oregon saw him twice this year. And Washington changed their game plan both times against Oregon, and it worked perfectly. It's like, sheesh, So I think it is just defensive line getting after Penix, which has not been an easy task for any team this year so far, and just controlling those receivers, because they are no joke. I mean, as teams that have seen them, they're not joking. Yeah, I agree. Washington defense is not like an amazing defense, but they're decent. So they're good enough, to contain explosive offenses or heavy run teams. They're decent enough. They do their job. So I that's why I'm like, this game is it's just fitting, two undefeated teams coming together to finalize it.
Yeah, it's fitting. I think they got, obviously, I think you can flip a coin between these two teams and throw Georgia in, and bam, then we have the real national championship. But we don't pick it. Those are the best teams, right? We know that we're probably looking at, and I know everyone's getting mad, but somewhere in here, I don't know where you want to see them, whatever. But Georgia is one of the best two teams somewhere. But we have we do have the two teams that deserve to be there and that have played themselves into the situation.
If they're not, they're
Yeah,
at least number
and no,
three.
no
They're
one
number
can take
three
it.
easy.
I mean, these might not be the two best teams in the country, but nobody can take
No.
anything away from either team.
Right. No,
for
exactly.
being in the-
Exactly.
Yeah.
What about the top 5? You know, I can come up with 10, but I can't come up with 5 for next year.
I can't come up with
I've
5 at
said
all.
all year.
Five is
This is
hard.
this
I
is
give
the
you my
flattest,
10.
like, top 8 or 9 in the country I've ever seen.
Okay,
in my life.
everyone go through like starting down here. Shane, give us
I got 10 real quick,
8,
just
10, whatever
just
it is. 'Cause,
top of my head,
it's
you know,
hard.
no particular order, but you know, just you know, thinking about the Big Ten, you know, Ohio State's still going to be in the hunt. Michigan, you know, then I got LSU, Arizona, Notre Dame, Oklahoma State, Ole Miss, still going to be solid next year. Louisville, if they play, you know, they came out of nowhere this year. That stupid loss to Pitt, you know, they would have been in contention for, you know, maybe a possible playoff slot.
SFW curse and they went to Pitt. That's where ranked teams go to die, Shane.
Well, yeah, the shittiest team, they could be the crappiest team, and they can beat a ranked team. Yes, absolutely. And then Kansas State is my 10th one on there, you know, and then there's some that I've left off, but those are just 10 that popped to mind. You know, Tennessee was flirting in there. You know, they could be solid next year. I mean, with this transfer portal nonsense and you know, NIL, you might as well be looking at a magic 8-ball.
Well, I think Tennessee's gonna have to show us what they can do against like Oklahoma and Florida next year. Then
Right.
we can see whether they can contend or not.
But if
There's
they
a
beat
whole-
those big teams, they have, you know, they could be one loss and still like have the resume. You know, their schedule sets up to you know, just like West Virginia. You beat Penn State, you know, to start off the season, you have a strong schedule. You have an opportunity to play in the playoffs. But I don't know. It's just I don't have Oklahoma listed and I don't have Texas listed because I think it's going to be growing pains. It's going to be difficult for them to run the table just because it's a totally different conference they're playing in. Do you guys think they're going to go in there and actually, you know,
Texas
be 9
will probably
3?
have 9 or 10 wins.
Yeah, but not. We're not. I'm talking. They're not going to make the playoff though. But
Yeah. Well, since it's expanded, they might sneak in.
Well, with the
Yeah,
12-team playoff, they could. I mean,
they could. Yeah. But yep.
You think
Those are my
Oregon
10.
could make it in the
Yep.
12-team?
Yeah,
playoff?
Oregon's right there too. You know, I think I always enjoy watching Oregon play, but I don't have Washington listed there, so I don't know if they can reload. Once again, those are two teams that are playing in a different. Those are just to be determined. You know.
I mean,
I like
I
Washington too,
I like
for
Oregon for just as far as being able to reload much more than Washington.
I think they're going to adjust pretty well. Out of all the teams, I think they will adjust to Big Ten play. I think more so to Washington, but Washington, I've been high on them all year, and I'm riding them. You know, I'm riding them to the end because I just have that feel. I think it's just going to happen for them this year.
Well,
And, you
they're,
know,
they're getting Will
it's not-
Rogers. They're getting Will Rogers, but Washington is going to lose like the aforementioned receivers. Washington is losing
Right.
a lot. You know,
Penix is
they
gone,
are
all their, you know, they're not. And then, you know, I tried looking and seeing what they were getting in the transfer portal, but it's all like, you know, it's like rough cut diamonds. You don't know how that cut's going to come. You know, is it going to have cracks in it? What's going to happen here, guys? You don't know.
The issue is, but however, the flip side of it is, so I said that Washington's going to be losing a lot. Oregon's not. I mean, Oregon is losing a lot, but they're also getting, you know, Dylan Gabriel coming in for Bo Nix. It's gonna be like 2.0 in that offense. Check down, toss it here short. They're not gonna miss a beat offensively, I don't believe. And then defensively, they've been stacking defensive quality talent for just, you know, year after year after year. So I think Oregon and Washington, Oregon's gonna be in much better position than going into the Big Ten.
Shane, I know.
Oh my God, that hurt to say.
Shane, I
I
know
loved
that you
hearing that.
mentioned Arizona, Oklahoma State, and Kansas State as the contenders from the Big 12. But what about Utah and Kansas?
They're right on there. I'll tell you what, this year I've loved watching Kansas. The same with Utah, but Utah just, the end of the season a little flat. I don't know. It's really hard. If they would be on my 15, if you gave me 15 teams, they would definitely be on there. But the Big 12 is just a crapshoot. Yeah, most of these conferences are a crapshoot, but more so the Big 12 next year and the ACC. You don't know what's coming out of the ACC. Other than Florida State will probably be good again because it's just so top heavy. But I can't wait to see the new Big 10. The new Big 10 is going to be.
If Cam Rising comes back for
I feel like the Big 12.
If Cam Rising comes back for his 16th year, I think that Big 12 is very ripe for him, for them to take the Big 12. But I don't know how long.
Big 12 is going to be the conference that has the most variance from year to year.
Like the Big East from 15 years ago. Remember the Big East? You had UConn, you had Rutgers.
Oh, yeah, Bearcats.
Bear
down.
Cincinnati, West Virginia, Virginia Tech. You don't know who's going to win from year to year. Miami. So.
Miami. Blah blah blah. Get out.
Well, I mean, that's the thing.
Wait.
I don't
as soon as we stop the Michigan talk, they're both on Michigan callers. Just done.
I know they both are like, all right, we're done. I think Mike didn't want to get stuck in the meme war with Tim.
Hang on, who's this clown? Anyone know Sonder? Bro, I never begged for Oregon not to be included, so I'm not sure what you're talking about. Kind of get your facts straight because you've been sounding like an idiot the entire night. Sorry, now carry on.
Can I?
Oh, you're good. You're good. I want to touch Go Blue here. Also, thank you, Matthew Miller, for that. That was a loaded question. And that's a tough one, especially projecting next year with all the conference changes. That's a tough one. But Go Blue 982 $5. Thank you very much. As a UM fan, I want Michigan to win, but the biggest winner is America with the SEC sitting at home.
Looking like a true Big Ten shill.
Take that, you Confederate traitors.
That is true. I told the guys on here before that we went live, and I don't want to name drop anyone, but there was a certain Bama fan, not Jackson, who was like, "Hey, I didn't know it was Saturday last week. I'll come on this next week and talk." And I was like, "All right, cool." Then Bama lost, and I never heard from him again. So, for good obvious reasons. So,
do you think Alabama will be on that list next year of teams to make the playoffs?
Probably.
They're
definitely
a good shot.
in the range.
Yeah, they're 50-50.
I think honestly we're going to be seeing the playoff field get dominated with SEC and Big Ten teams. Yeah. I just think somebody from the ACC and or Big 12 is going to get screwed over big time.
Well,
I think it's going to continue to be the ACC.
Well, there's going to be someone from each conference represented, unless they're the champion with like 3 losses or something like that.
Yeah.
Even then, they'll probably still get a spot.
They either need to get out of their deal with ESPN.
Amen.
Or they sign, or they also get Fox and CBS in it with them.
This is a great conversation to have for an entire show about projecting next year's 12-team playoff. This is a great topic because my question would be like, well, who's the automatic Group of 5 winner next year?
Yeah, that's what we should talk about next week, maybe.
I think the Irish have a great shot of getting in.
I didn't want to bring up a one point here. They're going to have to reform the system somehow because I think right now they have 6 automatic bids in there for conference champions, right? And now one of the
they'll probably change that.
Yeah,
so one of the Power 5s has collapsed. The top 4 seeds all have to be from separate conferences. They all have to be conference champions. And with so much power concentrated into 2 leagues right now, does that really make sense? To give two teams from either from the Big 12 and ACC.
I think they'll have to go off if they go with that. Say the Big 12 and the Big 12 and ACC champs. Say they're ranked like 9 and 10. I think they'll have to play at the higher seed, even if they weren't the conference champ. It'll have to do something like that. I don't know if you can give the conference champ an automatic.
The top right now, the way it's written is the top 4 conference champs all get buys.
No. I mean, I get that, but I'm saying like they may have to. There's going to be some weird adjustment in the offseason to deal.
Well,
with
you have
that.
to get. You have to get rewarded for playing that extra championship game.
It's true too.
Guys, I have an idea. How about we just get rid of conferences, free for all?
Look at Notre
happen.
Dame.
Oh, conference don't mean anything anymore, so why not?
Yeah, apparently not. Conference just died. If you don't remember, you dicks. Oh, sorry.
But right now we're just giving the conference champions to the top 4 leagues automatic buys.
Well, you could have a 3-loss conference championship from the Big 12, get a bye if that is written into the rules, right?
That's how it would be. Like now, I think Arizona, like presuming everything would have held out, they would be the Big 12 champion this year if you just extrapolate the results that happened this year.
Well, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. They could write a rule in there that says, okay, the Big 12 champ is not specifically Big 12, but they could say, okay, this champion has 3 to 4 losses. It's possible, it's not like ridiculous to think that's possible. And they could say, well, but if they're a lower seed, the higher seed still has to get the home game.
Yeah, that's shitty though.
It is shitty.
I mean, but they're going to have to reform it somehow because. I mean, like the Georgia and Ohio State, Arizona should not be getting a bye over a Georgia or Ohio State this year. I mean, that doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, this is a whole show by itself. Go Blue 982, please. Appreciate it. Thank you for the super chat. This is a whole show by itself where we can just bicker and dick around and argue with each other all night long.
The big issue is going to be, Ben, your big issue is going to be is not next year or maybe not in the year following your Shane, because you're a West Virginia fan, right? It's going to be, we already see it right now with the haves and have-nots, with the amount of money that all the look at Rutgers, making all that money, it's going to be a situation where even great programs like West Virginia, it's going to be difficult to compete with all of that money, all the money in the SEC, all the money. It's just truly going to create a just whole different level. So when this thing gets down the road a little bit longer, maybe 3-4 years, programs in the Big 12. I mean, that's why that's why USC's of the world, the Oregons, the Washingtons were like scraping to get out of there and hop on one of these ships.
That's going to happen to the Big 12 eventually because it's going to be the SEC, Big 10, and everybody else. And then, I know the landscape's going to change, and I just pray that West Virginia doesn't end up. They were very close to being taken. Missouri took West Virginia's spot. Last minute there was calls made, and that's the way it happened.
West Virginia was going to be in the SEC.
SEC, yeah, and then it was a couple calls were made, and I guess and this was reported a year and a half ago from multiple sources that was going to happen. But Missouri got the nod, and but I remember when the Big East collapsed. I was wondering, 8 years ago, what was going to happen with West Virginia, and seeing Rutgers land in a better spot than West Virginia is kind of, chapped my butt a little bit because Rutgers was basically got their butt stomped except for like 2 or 3 years when they were in the Big East. They were everybody's homecoming game. And so oh well.
I do want to clarify for Tim though, by the way, too. Once USC and UCLA said Pac-12, you're on your death doorstep, Oregon and Washington though took the initiative to reach out to the Big Ten and get the blessing.
Get the discount.
No, well, no. I mean, but I'm saying they got analyzed. They go into whatever it is, they got analyzed. The Big Ten's like, cool, you're good to go if we want you. The point is they took initiative outside of these other teams in this movement where no one's everyone needs to be, almost every team needs to be reaching out to the conferences at this point and going, hey, you like us? Check us out.
Conferences have a list. They know who they want. They know how much money these programs bring in, and they know what the viewership, for each region. So I know that it was even it was before that, them reaching out. I mean, you it's a business. You have to know, what the landscape looks like. As an analyst, you would know what needs to happen if X, Y, and Z take place. And I'm
holding Oregon and Washington as university, the presidents, ADs, everything accountable for also turning down the original ESPN deal that they were offered. And then when they were like, well, we're going to get this great streaming deal, when they heard that number, they went, Big Ten, you want us still? We're coming. And they were like, all right, cool. I mean, they just bailed out. I mean, I can't blame the university, but it was the stubbornness of all the presidents. I mean, the Pac-12 has been a disaster for over a decade.
The issue, this has been, the writing has been on the wall, though, you guys. USC's AD, like 3 or 4 years ago, they said, so are you guys willing to go independent? What's the story? And USC says, we're open to anything. Why? Because the writing was on the wall. The Pac-12 could not compete with the contract that the Big Ten was going to get and that the SEC was getting because of just viewership alone. It's just what it is. And so the fact that USC got an opportunity to get the hell out, they did. Because what are you going to do? Are you going to go with that long death, or are you going to try to survive? And really, at the end of the day, it is a business. And as much as it is, and I'll say it, look, where were all the Pac-12 people when USC went on probation? Usually, the Big Ten, when Ohio State gets in trouble, they rally around it. The SEC, it's all shh, no one say anything. But when USC went on probation, it's like sweet, everyone's happy. They're throwing little parties around the world. So when USC had the opportunity to bail,
you have Pete Carroll, you dominate your league, and then everyone gets to get sick of you winning.
I'll tell you,
we dominated football, bro.
They're preying on your downfall. They're preying on your downfall.
There were rumors when Penn State, when they leveled the sanctions that day, that there were coaches from almost every Big Ten school on Penn State's campus the day that they were announcing the Sandusky sanctions. Almost every team apparently had somebody on campus that day.
Well, this show just got demonetized because you said the S word. Way to go, Sean.
Sanctions?
Way to go.
Sorry.
Yeah, the name. Yeah. Way to go, Sean. I'm gonna bring the show down.
Hey,
it rhymes with Mandusky.
Cedar Point is.
Well, all I'm saying is that
Cedar Point is in Ohio, if I can't say that word.
Oh yeah, Cedar Point. I love that place.
Yeah, well, and that's why I'm saying with Tim is like the point is once UCLA and USC were like they were gone, Oregon, Washington took initiative and went, "Hey, Big Ten, by the way, we're over here. We're pretty good programs and stuff," and just put feelers out. And the Big Ten were like, "Cool." That's what teams have to start doing because it is a business. And they waited, and they didn't like the numbers, and they went, "Screw it," even at the discount rate for a few years, until it starts building up. Point is, it was a lot better than anything that was going to be offered. So it's a win-win no matter what. And that's it. It's a business. Football is the driving fucking force and money maker behind these universities. I mean, it is.
Yeah. Hey, I just saw, as of an hour ago, the national championship game line has ticked up for Michigan, negative 5.5. So minus 5.5.
It hasn't moved a lot though in
4.5, 5.5.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it really has not moved. It's been pretty stable.
What was the Texas line?
I think it was also 5.5. I could be wrong though.
I think Texas was minus. I think it's something like that. Texas was like 4 or 5.
Yeah, 6,
something like that.
5, something like that.
Yeah, the thing about Washington is they always thrive as an underdog. That's the thing about them.
No, they do. They do. I mean, Tim knows it. We've watched Washington a lot this year. Every time people have doubted Washington, people say, "Oh, you doubted Michigan." Blah blah blah. Everyone's doubted Washington too, and all Washington has won every game they've played.
I've been
I mean,
watching from the sideline, just smiling because I've been picking them week to week, and I have a friend who played college ball, and he's like, nah. He's like, Oregon's going to beat him. I'm like, man, I just have a feeling. And sure enough, that's what happened.
yeah.
And
that-
I
that one-
don't care
was
either
wrong.
way.
I was wrong on that
I
one.
love watching Oregon. As much as I don't care either way. It's just I just had a feeling.
I was wrong on that one too. I felt pretty good about the rematch, and obviously I was completely wrong.
I was
Now that
wrong
the
as
Michigan
well.
fans are gone, though, I didn't put this in the little.
Yeah, we're free. We're free.
I didn't put this in the private chat for the show outline. So I want to touch upon this real quick now that they're gone. So regardless of what happens tomorrow, though, if Michigan wins tomorrow night, they win the national title. Should we all always put an asterisk next to it because of Spygate?
No,
I'm going to take that as a yes.
No.
It
I
will.
agree,
No.
100%. Asterisk,
no.
asterisk next to Spygate because of Spygate.
I'll tell you what. Most of these guys know what's coming. It's you still got to stop them. You know what I mean?
Well, okay. What if they have to vacate because of?
They're gonna have to
sanctions by the
vacate, most
NCAA?
likely.
They have to vacate.
They're gonna, but maybe not for this season. I mean,
Well, I mean,
Here's
I'm
my
sorry,
point.
Have to vacate something from the
Hold on,
past.
did-
Oh
did-
man, that
was
would
anyone
be
paying
horrible.
attention to the Michigan sideline during the Rose Bowl? Because I saw like 5 Connor Stallion looking motherfuckers on their sideline.
He was
and I was
there.
like, is
He
he
was there.
still there?
Yeah,
was
no,
there.
I mean he was at the game, and I mean, like, how much of a psychopath can you be? Like, you almost buried this program. Like, if the official narrative is right now is like he did everything all by himself, the universe, like nobody was aware of it.
Shut up.
Like, you legitimately are gonna like potentially put this program back a few years by yourself, and you still feel compelled to show up. Like, I mean, he should be persona non grata.
Here's
Yeah,
my stance on it. Well, I think vacating games is stupid.
But no. They
Hold
definitely
on.
would.
Hey, Sean, hold on, man.
Yeah,
Here's the
100%.
thing. They aren't getting any advantages right now, and they're
No.
winning games. And if they win the playoffs, anyone that
Legit.
wants to say that they're not the champions are just being bitter. Period.
Yeah, of
And
course.
and
I
the,
agree.
the fact is that those 85 guys on scholarship weren't cheating, right? I hate it when there's all this collateral damage because some idiots make bad decisions. So the fact of the matter is if it's found out that they cheated during the playoffs or maybe during the a conference championship game or whatever, but it's all been cleared up well beyond that. That stuff stopped, right? So the point I'm trying to make is if they win on the field, they win on the field. What advantage did some wins against? I don't know, some weak ass preseason or non-conference schedule guys. What really is that going to change in this? Most likely, it's sad because why does this team even have to cheat? They're better than they have, talent equal to or better than everyone they played this year, except for probably Ohio State and Alabama, right? But they're winning games. So I don't think that the fact that there was some scandal early on. Now, I think the people that were cheating, they need to get show cause. They need to have sanctions. But to hurt the team is bullshit in my opinion.
This sounds like
No. I mean,
this sounds like a
if anyone
sore
wants to
USC
take this away
fan
from the
about certain
2023
vacated wins.
Michigan
Hey, by the way,
season,
excuse me. Okay, Duck fan, our coach was not given a show cause. Yours was.
No, I know.
all I'm gonna say.
I know. Chip Kelly reported his own no show cause
Okay.
issues.
Don't
He
give me
reported
this
it
one.
himself.
You guys, you know what I'm so tired of? Self-reporting. You know when people self-report? When it's about to come out. That's what people self-report, is when a story gets big enough they can't keep in house, they know it's going to get out, then they self-report.
That was
You
about.
should get no benefit for self-reporting.
That was
No,
to clarify
Yeah.
to clarify the chat. Hold on, Sean. To clarify the chat, that was literally about one recruiting agent. Hold on, Sean. That was about one recruiting agent they were using, who turned out to be a little dirty. They got late. What was his name? Seastrunk, I think, the running back.
Yeah.
And
Like
then
the Baylor
he
kid.
played like garbage time for Oregon for like a couple quarters, and then he transferred.
Oregon
to
was
Baylor.
doing shady shit for years, Ben. Come on, stop. When it comes to recruiting,
You're just
you
being
know
salty, Tim. You're just being salty over there.
at USC, we don't have to pay our players. Sorry, was he Reggie Bush?
No,
Reggie Bush.
By
the way,
wait, hold on. Did you not basically buy your quarterback an apartment in LA?
that's legal now, bro.
I know, but I'm saying you don't have to
Yeah,
pay players.
totally
You're
different.
saying
Yes.
Reggie Bush scandal was when he was a junior. USC didn't pay him or cheat to recruit him. That's all I'm saying.
I'm just saying.
No, but
I'm just
no,
saying.
no, no.
All
But
right, look, the point is when you
I didn't
self-report,
wanna,
I'll give it to you a little bit. But when universities get found out with shit, that's when I have a little thing about it. But I'm going to put an asterisk next to it if Michigan wins because just to be salty to Michigan fans.
I know.
I'm going to do it personally.
I did want to rebut Tim's statement a little bit here.
I don't give a shit, Sean, what you want to do.
Yeah, me too. I wrote Sean out. No, Sean, we don't want to hear it.
I run this
I'm just
bitch.
kidding.
Goodbye, Sean. No, I'm kidding. Welcome back, Sean. Okay, rebut Tim.
So every competent compliance department self-reports minor violations on the regular. They really do. I mean, like you look at any well-run compliance department. I mean,
Right. Yes.
Like, very ticky-tack stuff.
Yeah. Well, no. I'm saying if someone's suspected of doing something and they have a question like, "Hey, is this cool?" Then I find out, and the NCAA still gave a no-show cause to Chip Kelly. He left the NFL, and they reduced like a few scholarships too, I believe it was, and I think a small fine to the university. It was like you agree, you cooperated with us, you self-reported it, like because you were like, "Is this cool?" And then the player never did anything to help the team, anyways, or caused any advantage. So it was like, all right, whatever. I mean, hey, it was still a notch on Chip Kelly. It was still a notch on Chip Kelly. That's fine. I think with this Connor Stallion thing though is a lot bigger than Chip Kelly recruiting one guy using some recruiter.
But Ben, what I'm trying to say is, if it was just one guy and some kind of quasi little whatever, he would not have been given a show cause. You really have to do something pretty bad to get a show clause. By the way, we finally found someone. We actually found someone that thinks there's only 2 people that paid players for the past like 75 years. Amazing. Well done. Thinking there's only been 2 teams in the history of college football that have paid players.
At least in the sense for USC, if this was true from your mom's house here, at least it paid off for USC, whereas Miami has literally been just suffering into the mid-range of any team in the country. So good job, Miami.
How's that different from USC?
Huh?
Well, they have more titles since Miami.
Yeah.
I think 11 national championships. Yeah.
And a lot more recent than Miami. So,
and we win conference championships.
Yeah,
too.
conference titles too. Yeah, conference titles. Goddamn.
So yeah, it's nice to know that we still have naive fans out there thinking that his school never paid a player. Oh my god, this is great. I love seeing these.
Unless you're a West Virginia fan, there was no money before it.
Yeah, right. I'm sure that's
true. Ham and pepperoni rolls.
Sometimes I kind of think the NCAA is like the homeowners association of all sports.
NCAA is terrible.
It's like the homeowner association.
Yeah, that is a great analogy.
At least if the NCAA is going to do stuff, they need to have some balls and like put their foot up people's asses and make everyone listen and not just be like big bitches about it to certain teams or whatever. Like at least be consistent across the board to teams to make everyone pay attention.
They're so how that got thrown out. They're so capricious and so ill-motivated in how they hand out these punishments. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, like you see one team get like a bowl ban,
30 scholarships over 3 seasons.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the guy who gave him that 30 scholarships over 3 seasons, his name was Paul D. Guess who he was the AD of? Miami.
Maybe.
And he said that USC, well, we really can't prove it, but either USC knew or they should have known. Therefore, we're going to give him 30 scholarships. And this is Paul D in Miami with Shapiro. giving guys blow and hookers on recruiting trips on yachts in Miami Harbor. So there you go. That's the NCAA in a nutshell for you, right?
Well, the
there.
NCAA is
Michigan,
Allegedly.
the Michigan fans are back. Everyone be quiet. Everyone be quiet.
So we're talking about that. Going back to beginning of December, you had multiple states in federal court when Raquan Battle for West Virginia wanted to, he basically said in the case, give us some, limits. What were your determining factors for your motions to not have these kids play certain, why did you determine this kid couldn't play versus this kid? And they didn't have anything. So it's basically sticking their thumb in the air, their finger in the air, figuring out what are we going to do? So he won the ruling and was granted eligibility. And this district judge is basically telling the NCAA, you don't have any teeth, and it's just, this is the first of many lawsuits that are going to come forth. So.
Yeah, this could be a whole nother topic. The NCAA really needs like an actual damn commissioner. Again, if you're going to do something, just do it consistently across the board and make people listen. Don't be like, well, you get death sentence. You. Bad,
yeah, they can't enforce the restitution rule because there's no standard. And there's no single person making a decision. So it's all, I don't know.
They don't have in their bylaws, like, what is the punishment for this?
No, there isn't. It's not specific.
Yeah,
Some kid might say, oh, you're eligible this year because of a hardship waiver. And then the same kid with the same situation is not allowed to play. And there's no consistency, and that's why it didn't take it very long to just throw it out.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The consistency is the hardest part. John just said in the chat too. Consistency is what we need, and that's the point. But there's no one making these rules. Everything's so vague and just up to like independent determination, and it's like, I get that you have to be able to say, well, this player has this situation, this player has this, fine, but there's got to be some guideline. And there doesn't seem to be a guideline. There's like a book that no one freaking looks at.
No, it's so vague that absolutely. Speaking about vague, what about some of the calls in the NFL and college football and college basketball?
Well, hold on. Before we move on, I just want to make sure. So since we're on the subject, free Reggie. God damn it. It's time to free Reggie.
I say give it back to
free
him.
Reggie Bush. Free Reggie Bush.
Free Reggie.
I agree 100%. One, just give him his damn trophy back.
Give him his trophy back.
What does it matter? Just give him his trophy back. Jesus.
Free Reggie
If
Bush.
OJ can keep his trophy, why can't Reggie keep his?
No shit, right? No shit. I mean, it's like if OJ,
because those violations happened 30 years after he got the award.
Well,
but yes, I agree.
I know, but of anyone, it's like you should have taken it from OJ, not Reggie.
But you can't take something away. It's like,
well, the guys, was Johnny Manziel have it? Why does he still have one?
It's true.
Too. Did you? By the way, that's funny. Remember they showed Bosworth? They started talking about NIL. Was that like the funniest, most awkward moment all bowl season when they started talking about NIL with the Boz? I thought that was just great. That was just a great moment.
And I want to make it clear that this isn't coming from a place of bias. What the NCAA did to the Fab Five was unforgivable. I mean, trying to erase that history. You had a guy.
Yeah, you can't. Vacating wins is stupid. I mean, you can't go back in time. It's ridiculous.
Unless they got like a memory eraser or something. Like
the NCAA didn't call timeout. Sean,
like on Gravity Falls or something.
Sean, the NCAA did not call timeout. That's all I'm gonna say.
It did not, no. But it is like, I mean, what does like trying to erase wins and victories even matter? Like, it doesn't matter to the fan base. If Michigan wins and it gets vacated, are they not going to celebrate this like they should? I mean,
I was at the Orange Bowl. Listen, when USC vacated when USC truly vacated that Oklahoma team and kicked the shit out of them. I was there in the Orange Bowl. That game happened. It's real. And so if the NCAA wants to walk in and say that didn't happen, more power to them. I mean, Reggie Bush could have just sat on the bus the entire game and USC wins that game. So they can vacate whatever they like. I was there. I saw the win. And I mean, vacating, that's what I said. Vacating games is stupid.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm just saying. I'm saying Sean would be very celebratory of going, "Ha ha! You vacated your national title." To Michigan fans.
So basically, with the NCAA, like their quote is, "You forget 1,000 things every day. Make sure this is one of them."
The before we end up running for
3 hours.
5 hours again, because
Halfway there, Ben.
that is not happening tonight.
No,
This is your final take, because tomorrow again is, everyone shed a tear again, the final college football game of the season. I hate that. I hate that image. Chip Kelly doing that. He did that. He does that all the time. I hate it. I've always hated it.
It could be worse. It could be worse.
True. That is true. It's true. All right, we can do meme. We can do
or
meme wars.
like Brian Kelly.
No, you said the name. No,
You cannot
You
say
said
the name. Oh my God.
name.
Did he say the name?
He did. He said the name. He said Brian Kelly. Ah, crap. I'm sorry. I said it too. Oh, so cringy. I can't take it. All right, before we get into memes, we can do memes for like the last 10 minutes or something like that. Tomorrow's the final college football game. Washington versus Michigan. 1-1. Who do you got winning the game? Not necessarily why, just who do you think will come out the winner tomorrow night and be the 2023 national title holder?
Oh, okay, I'll go first.
There you go.
Just simply for selfish reasons, I would love to see the Pac-12 win something for once. So you know, and DeBoer and the Huskies are a feel-good story. They're not the Ducks or the Bruins, so I'm cool with them winning. They haven't really hurt me since the early '90s, so I'm cool with them winning the game. That being said, and you told me I had to make a defense. All the Michigan fans freaked out on me. I was told to make a defense for how the Huskies could win. I think that I'm still stay with it. I think that the Huskies find a way to win, and I hope they do. For all the haters out there.
No, Ralph Wolf. Look what he picked. Michigan 38-20.
I got Michigan winning this 31-28 in the 2024 national championship.
Go ahead, Jackson.
I was going to say, the last time Washington won it all was in 1991, and ironically, it was in the 1992 Rose Bowl against the Michigan Wolverines.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty cool, huh? But you can also check more on that on the series history of Michigan-Washington from the Voice of College Football itself.
All the Pac-12 guys are saying Washington, and all the Michigan fans are saying Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
Ohio State fans be chiming in too pretty soon.
Yeah,
I have a 38.
I think there are more game scripts here that favor Michigan than favor Washington. Michigan's been the more consistent team all year. They give you the same performance.
I have a 38-31 Washington. I just don't think that Penix is playing at that Deshaun Watson 2018 level. 2016 level.
Michigan's average, like what was it, 9 games? They had over 30 points a game. I mean, they're scoring. It's very un-Big Ten like to put that kind of those kind of numbers up per game. But
But I mean, like they know how to control games, and they know Washington has a way to win, and it's basically we're going to outgun you. And
they do, yeah.
Michigan,
and they've done all year. They find a way to win.
And that yeah, I mean, and several times I mean, they were underdogs against Oregon both times. Big underdogs the second time. They were underdogs against Texas. And I mean, and the game that impressed me almost most of the whole season was when they went to Reser. They played in a monsoon. I mean, everything in that game favored Oregon State. Said Oregon State should win that game. And
It's a shame
I don't know how they won it.
It's a shame the team's not being played in the Rose Bowl because this has the flavor of one of those classic Rose Bowls to decide a national championship. It has everything except the venue.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, both these teams, I mean, like, you just have to give your hats off to how they've persevered through different types of adversity through the season, and that's why they're here. That's why they're in the national championship game.
No. The chat cannot activate the meme. The chat cannot.
Chat is alive in the sound of Kelly.
No, the chat cannot activate the meme. That's not how this works.
Here I am trying to give serious, thoughtful analysis to the game that's going on this week. And
sorry, Sean. Sorry.
I have to be bombarded with Grand Valley State coaching legend Brian Kelly.
True.
Just making a fool of himself, trying to act like he was about 50 years younger than he is.
Cringy.
No, I mean, like if I had to put my life on the money line, I would take Michigan in this game. I think Michigan's the more complete team. They're the more balanced. They're the more consistent team. They're not going to show up and lay an egg tomorrow. Washington,
no.
I don't know. I mean, like, you know, they've delivered some egg performances this year. Some, you know, and it's, I mean, I respect everything Michigan has done this year, and that's why I give them the edge in this game. And I think that they can match Washington blow for blow because, you know, and that's why I think they pull out like a 34-30 type of win tomorrow night.
Ben's gone?
Yeah, I don't have much to say other than I love that. That's all I have.
Yep. Uh-oh.
I just have that feeling they're going to win. They have the juice this year, and their quarterback play is unmatched. He can thread a needle, and man, I'm so excited to actually watch the game and see what happens. And we'll convene next week or the week after that, and you know, bust people's chops on, you know, how bad they got blown out one way or the other, and chaos will ensue, right?
I have to say, and you know, that's why we talked about a lot of these things, is that you know, even as a Duck fan, a lot of people are like, no, you would never pick Washington. They're your rival. That's bullshit. You can't do that. That's crap. I'm like, I just want it to be like the fitting story of the Pac-12 for Washington to go out on top, as hard as that will say, because I'll have to listen to Washington fans, certain pickles, especially in the chat here. But when you've had a month to prepare for like a team like Alabama, and then even like called Washington over Texas because they beat Texas last year, and they did. You only have a week to prepare. And Michigan, I'm sorry, you can say, well, we have the lowest scoring. You haven't played an offense like Washington, so I could be completely wrong, but I am pulling for Washington in this game, no matter what. It's not going to be a blowout. Washington's not going to like throw a 50 or something like that. But I mean, I could see a 24-20 or something like that type of game.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, Michigan has blew out the first half of their schedule. They played a bunch of patsies. And then as the schedule has gotten more difficult, those scores have gotten a lot closer. And I'm not saying that Washington's going to beat Michigan. I'm saying Washington is a quality team, and absolutely anything can happen next week. And the line shows that with a 5.5.
And one thing to add, you know, I think Washington was a little more convincing in their playoff win to get into the championship than Michigan was. Just my opinion.
Well, like Mark said, you hold it.
I think Washington played like close to an A game, A plus game in that, and I don't think you could say the same at all about Michigan. I think Michigan.
They played well enough to win, but that wasn't an A plus effort. Yeah.
I mean, Washington did almost Washington did everything they could to almost get. Washington did almost everything they could to give that game away, and then they still hold them, like Mark said earlier, 4 plays from like the 12-yard line.
Yeah, they still played better than what Michigan did. If you look at it, I don't know.
It's hard to comprehend, but that's it. When your team has a month to prepare and all you're solely focused on that team, I think you're just going to find out in 1 week preparation. They haven't seen these types of receivers. I know Ohio State, Bob. You can argue that all day long, but with Penix, I think even Sean would say Penix is a huge upgrade from McCord.
Yeah, he's NFL caliber talent. I mean, we're not talking like NFL caliber. Hey, gets a contract. We're talking this
first
guy
round.
Is going. Yeah, first round, legitimate.
Yeah.
It is understanding that Penix draft stock has been, I think, undersold the whole year. I think a lot of people I think I actually got into an argument with Dane Brugler on Twitter about this, saying Penix is a legit big time quarterback, and he said he didn't have a first round grade on him. And I just said, like, are you watching these games? Have you been watching?
They have that Ryan Leaf taste in their mouth, from back in the day.
Well, and as John even is saying right now, is like, I mean, people need to remember, it doesn't matter where he's been, how long he's been coaching, et cetera, et cetera. Kalen DeBoer is, what is he, Tim? Like 111-15 as a head coach?
Wow.
Or something like that. I mean, it's absolutely
ridiculous. You got to go back to the NAIA days at the University of Sioux Falls.
Yeah. Everywhere he's been, he wins at every level, no matter what. Like, he just knows how to win. And
winning.
So you can't underestimate him and what they're willing to do in their game plan either. So who knows? Maybe a couple coaching calls there on 4th down, a couple fakes here and there. I mean, and that's the difference in the game for Washington.
Riverboat gambler.
Yeah. You never know, especially in a national title game. That's the time to do it. Why not?
Oh yeah.
4th and 2 from the 50, fake punt, or just go for it to like try to,
Although you don't want to do what the Lions did.
No, that was stupid. I'm sorry. If you miss a 2-point conversion,
terrible.
Don't do another one. Don't do it again.
There we go. Shout out to South Dakota State as they won their 2nd straight FCS national championship. They are basically the Georgia of the FCS.
Yeah, they have unseated North Dakota State now. Damn it.
That's because we took their coach.
And I believe it's their first win ever against Montana. Because I remember yesterday, I looked up a stat on Twitter where it said they were winless against Montana in the series history. That's pretty big right there. They dominated them 23-3.
Yeah, North Dakota State's been kind of on a slide a little bit since Leipold left. But they've been so good. But yeah, USC stole their coach.
Lance is a hell of a coach.
A bit of a slide, like winning titles, right? But sliding into national championship.
I mean, they've still been winning, but yeah, they haven't been getting the titles. They've still been a very successful program, very successful. And I mean, I lived in North Dakota. Do you know how? If people don't know how big North Dakota State football is, if you live in North Dakota like I did for a while, it was like last year I realized it. It was Oregon versus Georgia. ABC or whatever it was. You turn on the TV, it's like ABC. They put on the North Dakota State versus fucking whoever instead. And I was like, are you shitting me right now?
Yeah, that's their
live stream. I had to find a live stream for it because I was like, they literally put North Dakota State on instead.
Did you live near Fargo?
No, mine not.
Oh. Okay, so yeah, I mean
central, like an hour south of the Canadian border. But I mean, yeah, they literally didn't even play the Oregon game. They just put on North Dakota State instead. I was like, what the hell is this? All right, so it seems like we have.
I have fond memories of North Dakota State, the biggest wrestling tournament every year. So I grew up. I went to North Dakota State every summer. That's where they held the National Freestyle Wrestling Championship. So I would go out there, get my ass kicked a couple of times, and exchange jersey singlets and stuff. So I've got a lot of singlets upstairs from across the country, saying from like Minnesota.
You wear the required uniform.
Yep. He
Yep.
wears it. He
Wait,
wears
wait,
it
wait,
every night.
The cool thing is that they give you like 7 or 8 singlets when you go there, and then you just exchange them with people from other states. So you end up with a whole like shitload
That's
of
cool.
other singlets.
But he wears them
Some
every
fond
night.
memories of
He wears them every
Fargo.
night, and he wears.
He's
them
wearing
every
one
night.
right now, actually.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's how they identify him when he goes to Starbucks. They just know, oh, he's wearing a singlet.
Yeah. Yeah. We're wearing the Utah singlet here.
I would have to say the only the North Dakota State one that reminds me the most of, in the sense of that, was playing when they played Kansas State in Manhattan, and they did that like 9-minute drive just to run it in and beat Kansas State at home, and the whole crowd was like,
I forgot about that.
Really?
Manhattan,
Yeah.
Kansas was a bunch of sad folks that day.
Greg Bowl versus Bill Snyder. Oh, that was a matchup right there.
I miss Craig Bowl already as a head coach.
Enjoy your retirement, Greg Bowl. You deserve it. Enjoy your retirement.
Exactly.
So we have a pretty. I think it seems like the chat. We have a kind of an even split. A lot more Michigan people. It seems like the Pac-12 people, of course, are kind of pulling for almost like a fantasy end of the Pac-12 era. I guess let's do this. Tim, I'm gonna give you like 5-6 minutes of free reign for meme time, because why the hell not? Where's my Pop-Tart?
Well, I'm trying to think of who I pissed off the Miami fans. Definitely pissed off the Michigan fans. Right? I pissed off the Ducks.
Nah,
Who else
not
have I
really.
pissed off? Have I pissed off? Oh wait, I know. There's someone I haven't pissed off yet.
And again, I like
that's
that's
an
like
old
the old. That's like the first. That's like an older one. That's not the most recent one.
It's called Classic.
Yeah,
It's called
so it's
Vintage
No, no,
Classic.
That was from like 06 or 07, wasn't it? That's not that long.
Nah,
ago.
before that.
yeah, I was like, that wasn't
No,
even the most. That was not the most recent one for sure. That's
Okay,
Yeah,
so the truth is, it's the only one
has
that's
been derailed a couple of times. Yeah.
there's a file limit size, and that was the only one that would fit. So that's why we have the oldest one. And the higher resolution don't work.
and Tim.
Oh, I finally figured it out.
Tim maxed out the video file capacity of Mark's StreamYard. last
Whoops.
week.
I think I got
It
a
never
Sooner
gets
fan
old.
that who's upset. We'll watch it a couple more times. Yeah. So yeah.
Do you even have any Sooner fans?
Oh, they're always lingering. Wherever I'm on, there's always a little army of little Sooner fans somewhere.
Yeah, I was about to say they're somewhere in the background.
Is that the Tebow crew? Or-
I have a friend who was a season ticket holder for the West Virginia Mountaineers, and he lived in Moore, Oklahoma. He would drive to Missouri, pick me up, and we'd drive to games. That's a haul. To Morgantown from Moore, Oklahoma.
Yeah, that is a bit of a drive.
21 hours, something like that. 14 from Missouri.
Hey, this should be my sound effect whenever I have a Sooner troll. That's from now on. That's what it's gonna be. Here we go.
I just wish that Will would get more upset by all the Brian Kelly memes. I said it.
Oh, what? Oh, that is my favorite one. He goes all John Travolta on us. Or do you guys prefer this one?
What's
This
he
is a
doing
little more
with his
groovy.
legs?
This one's a little more
how
groovy.
long-
He's a little more.
Look how long
bend.
his vest is.
Gets a little more bend in the knee on this one.
No,
I think.
well, he looks like he lost like quite a bit of weight from his high at that point. So maybe the vest just drooped down.
That one's the worst. That one's the worst. That's
He's a bit
the
too
worst.
close. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the eye thing.
He's a bit too close to this young man in this one.
And
Right?
what's going up with the sleeveless vest like coat? What's going up with that? Like,
And it's quilted. It looks like it's quilted.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that.
I guess he thinks he's tough or something.
I mean, he's in Louisiana.
Oh, now you upset him.
It stays hot in
No,
Louisiana.
Tim's that
why
right. He
would you have
watched
vest on?
Pulp Fiction the night before, and that's
You know what we should have done? Hey, let's go back through our picks again. So let's just recap our picks really quick. So Ben, who do you have winning the game?
I really want to take Washington.
Oh. Okay. All right. All right. Jackson, who do you have?
I got Michigan winning it 31-28.
All right. Okay. Jim can. All right. All right. How about you, Sean? Who do you have?
I begrudgingly have Michigan 34-30.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I should play this one. So there you go.
There you go.
Okay, and then Shane, who do you have? Who do you have?
Washington.
Wow. Okay.
I think that's a good one.
Surrender Cobra too. And then Will, who do you have?
I have 38-31 Washington.
Oh.
I knew that was
Who
coming
do
up.
you have, Tim?
And then I have again, I have Washington. And I know now every Michigan fan is doing this to me right now. I love how the camera. We talked about last time.
love
The
that
camera
one.
quick. Get off him! Get off! And they pan away really quick.
Yeah, I love that one so much.
No, if they were following my picks this season, they should be flipping me off.
That's fantastic.
I think no matter what, it's going to be a good game. Yeah, we lost Chip Kelly from our sideline years ago, so that doesn't affect me anymore. It still annoys me to see him do that, but it's going to be a good game. I think no matter what, it's going to be a good game. I don't know. I have doubted Washington myself all year, so that's why I have to leave Washington.
All right.
I'm sorry, little Michigan fan. I'm sorry.
Either way, I think it's probably best for the sport that we don't have the same 3-4 teams like just running it like we have in previous years.
Yeah, it's good to have a little something different, and it's going to be awesome that we're not going to see a repeat of last year's national championship.
Yeah.
Well, I guess in a way, do we call this a Pac-12 or do we call this an all Big Ten championship? Because technically it's the bowl season.
It's still
because
Pac-12,
technically the bowl
technically.
season and after the Pac-12 championship game, the Pac-12 football is pretty much over.
Yeah, but the Pac-12 itself hasn't dissolved until July 1st.
Well, for like baseball and basketball.
Yeah, but the
and
Pac-12
track.
itself conference hasn't dissolved, so technically, and they're still wearing the Pac-12 logo, so it would be a Pac-12 title. Now it would transfer to the Big Ten, technically, but that's where it's kind of the interesting fact. It's like this is a Big Ten matchup, technically, but not.
No, it's not at all. This is Big 10, Pac-12.
I was about to say, you said Big 12. Get that dirty term out of your
Juggernauts of
mouth.
Minnesota and Maryland and Michigan State this year, so they don't get to claim. Oh, they did play Michigan State. Never mind.
Yeah, I was about to say, I was like, no, they beat the shit out of Michigan State 2 years in a row.
Yeah, they put that game on Peacock, I believe.
Yeah. I was planning on watching that game, and then I saw like 10 minutes in, they were up 28-0 or 21-0. I'm like, nah, not going to watch that. So,
is it all the way to August? Yeah, I'm not sure when all the sports.
Probably like the spring sports extend well into.
Oh, okay. I was like, I knew it was like
Yeah.
at least July, so that's when it officially like folds, but
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it
Jeff.
died when USC left. Oh, now the hate's really gonna come. Let's go. Bring it. Bring
That
it.
is true. That is true. That is technically true. That is technically true. When USC and UCLA left, that's when actually the pack officially died. That is actually true.
I'm trying to get as much haze as I can tonight.
Well,
Hatred is a
unfortunately, guess
copy.
what? You only have a couple more minutes for that because then I'm shutting this shit down. So everyone get their hate moments in really quickly.
Yeah, bring the heat.
Maybe all the haters left.
Yeah.
It's too late. It's too late in Michigan right now.
Clint, don't be salty over here.
Would it be great though? So now, if the Pac-2, do they still get an auto bid?
I
don't
think it's
think
looking like
I
it.
believe the 2-pack don't. I'm not totally sure.
I have
why.
no
The
idea.
two
I mean,
How would they get an auto bid?
They're gonna have to
No.
rewrite the bylaw on that.
No,
Yeah,
so no one technically gets an auto bid the way the playoff rankings are written. It's just
that's
now-
right. You have to be
Right now, it's
Okay,
the top
it-
6 conference championships.
right. Okay, so let's just say let's say that they play a Mountain West conference, right?
Right.
Schedule pretty much, and kick the crap out of everyone, which they very well could. And then they go undefeated. Then they're gonna be that 5th conference, right?
That's
Champion.
I mean, right now it's 6. I don't know how they're going to amend this going forward.
And so would it be great? I mean, not as a Trojan fan, but I'm just thinking outside the box right now. Is what if the Beavs went to the next 3 or 4 playoffs and USC and UCLA didn't make a single playoff over the next 3 to 4 years? Yet the Beavs
Very
went
possible.
every single year.
Ooh.
Could happen.
Run the table in the Mountain West.
What,
You know what? I would-
what if they put a Liberty Bibberty performance?
it could happen. I mean, I'm not gonna discount what Tim's saying. I mean, you never know. You never know if they don't rewrite or clarify what they're gonna do. I mean, yeah.
Well, I mean, they're going to have to. I mean, they wrote everything in a different paradigm. So
Oh boy, I feel bad for them.
yeah.
I know. I feel really bad for the Beavers. I feel bad Washington State. I really had hoped the Big Ten would just take the 4 teams. Washington State, Oregon State. I know why they didn't in a sense. But I mean, at the same time, I really just hope they would just swoop in and just collect the 4 northern teams. But
that was never going to happen. No.
That's how it goes. I mean, that's how it goes. So I hate that for Clint. Ramos is in here, our Beaver guys.
I'm thinking the ACC is going to take them once you see some deflections in the ACC.
That's the next possible.
I mean, but that would be a pretty desperate move from the ACC.
They already took Cal and Stanford, so I mean,
And SMU.
well,
so, I mean,
SMU at least is halfway there. I mean, at least, but I mean, if you already have 2 West Coast teams, why not take 2 more?
Well, and they're going for free, right? I mean, they're literally the league.
Well,
They don't
SMU
get-
is going for free. Yeah, SMU is completely for free for 4 or 5 years,
5 years,
Yeah.
I think.
something like that.
I mean, at least the Ducks got half.
The discount Ducks.
It's Power Ducks.
Yeah.
Power Ducks.
oh,
No,
Brian
the,
Kelly.
the clearance Cardinal and the budget Bears. Yeah.
The discount. Well, you know what? Listen, the half off Huskies might be national champions, so I might have to put that on the shelf for at least a year.
I was about to say, I was like, if Washington wins, I think it'll time. Everyone's gonna be like, well, I guess we can't.
But
make fun of that anymore.
they're still technically the half off Huskies.
It's true. It's true.
Okay, have we put this one to bed?
Yes, and yeah, you know what? I'm calling this shit over with. You know what? I don't care what any of you say, and the rest of you have to say for the rest of the night. I don't care. We can talk about it backstage if we want. So once again, to the chat, thank you for tuning in as usual here on the College Football After Dark on Sunday's show on the Voice of College Football. And no, not yet. Not yet. It's not
Oh, sorry,
Pop-Tart
sorry,
time
my
yet.
bad,
It's not Pop-Tart time yet. You got to play out. We got to play that one on the outro. I love the Pop-Tart ones. Sexually harassing the referee.
Ben, though, I did want to let you know, you did stop the stream like 5 seconds short of 5 hours last week.
It was 2 seconds. I looked
2
later
seconds.
and I was like, we got to start it over again. We got to redo it.
That's just YouTube cheating.
Yeah, the time delay between the end of the stream and on StreamYard it ended perfectly at 5 hours. I was like, nailed it, got it. And YouTube's like, nah, 58 seconds. I was like, I hate it.
Just
Once
stayed
again,
outside.
please, everyone, if you haven't, please check out all the other team channels. Consider subscribing if you're still watching. If you're here and you haven't hit that like button, what the hell are you doing? Hit that like button. It's free. It's right there below the screen. Please check out all of these people on social medias. Jackson
Come harass
has been
me.
dropping their links all over the place all night long as he has his copy paste open and he's paying attention. And I'm playing a sim game over here, so I'm kind of not paying attention. And please, everyone, join us next Sunday right here on the Voice of College Football After Dark show as we will discuss the national title game tomorrow night, or from tomorrow night, rather. And then we'll figure out our next couple weeks shows. But once again, gentlemen, I appreciate all of you being here as always. Shane, great to see you for the first time, and hopefully we will.
Hey, thank you for having me.
And hopefully we'll be seeing more of you, Jackson, Will, Sean, Tim, everyone in the chat, all the super chats, highly appreciated. Helps the channel out a lot. And please, Tim, roll my Oh yeah, he's getting all up in there too.